Chapter 884. Inside Fanghua City, at the outer wall of a tea-house, Su Qing'er and Shangguan Mei Yang checked the Immortal Kingdom experts on the streets, and heaved a sigh of relief. "Master, there shouldn't be a problem now, they have already been bewitched by us." Su Qing'er smiled and said, "The only clue for the people of the kingdom of Ziyu was the recording crystal of the inn, and now that the recording crystal had lost its effect, they had lost all clues, and finding the two girls was like finding a needle in a haystack. Although that's the case, we still can't let our guard down. Empress Dowager Lu has a profound cultivation base, and the kingdom of Ziyu is incomparably powerful. We have no idea what methods they have up their sleeve. It's best to be careful," Shangguan Mei Yang said softly. Hearing that, Su Qing'er was silent for a moment, but did not say anything. "What's wrong? Are you worried that Master can't solve the problem here?" Shangguan Mei Yang smiled. "Don't worry, Mother will have a way to solve it. Although the cultivation of my divine cloud immortal palace is not as good as the kingdom of Ziyu, but you must know that in this world, what can speak is not cultivation, but strength, and strength is not equal to cultivation." Su Qing'er nodded obediently. But just then, the people on the streets outside suddenly went into an uproar. Suddenly, rainbow-colored veils floated over from the sky. These veils covered the entire sky, and like a surging tide, they quickly floated over. The people below let out cries of surprise, and they were extremely shocked. The veil enveloped them, causing their entire bodies to feel itchy. It was extremely uncomfortable, and some of them started to circulate their techniques to resist. "What the hell is this? I can't disperse it. Who cast this spell? Quickly remove it, it's so uncomfortable. Damn it!" The crowd was filled with anger and displeasure. "What is this for?" Yi Junlang, who was standing on top of the city, frowned when he saw the veil. The veil came out from a colorful stone in Li Xian's hand. It overflowed into the sky and quickly covered the entire Fanghua city. Su Qing'er and Shangguan Mei Yang, who were hiding at the side of the tea-house, were no exception. They opened their eyes wide, seeing the veil spreading towards them, although the two girls knew that the veil was related to them, but they had nowhere to hide. Soon, the light gauze wrapped around the two women, and the moment it did, two beams of colorful light shot out from the two women's bodies and shot into the sky. "Found it!" A hoarse roar came from afar. Almost all of the Immortal Nation experts in Fanghua City rushed over here, including Empress Dowager Lu. Not good." Shangguan Mei Yang's face turned pale white. She anxiously pulled Su Qing'er's hand and ran out. She instantly understood what it was, but it was too late. At this time, the two girls were like turtles in a jar, with nowhere to hide. Before they could walk out of the alley, they were surrounded by several Celestial Nation experts. Just as Shangguan Mei Yang was about to activate her technique, two white chains suddenly flew out and bound the two girls tightly. It was a female cultivator's magic weapon. She held the other end of the chain with both hands and pulled it. She smiled and said, "Let's see where you can run now." "Damn it!" Shangguan Mei Yang struggled a few times, but was unable to break free, and was extremely furious. Looking at how the two ladies were behaving, the experts of the Immortal Nation in the surroundings burst out into laughter. "Empress Dowager!" Just then, a voice came from afar. Empress Dowager Lu led a large group of Immortal Nation experts and flew over. The crowd automatically dispersed, and the Immortal Nation experts all bowed to the Empress Dowager. "Greetings, Empress Dowager." Empress Dowager Lu only nodded her head casually. After landing, she walked towards the two girls. When she got close to the two girls, she sized them up. With a wave of her hand, the disguise technique on the two girls was immediately removed, revealing two beautiful faces. The smiles on the faces of the surrounding people froze, and exclamations of surprise sounded out. The change was even more comical. The Empress Dowager looked at Shangguan Mei Yang a few times, then her gaze landed on Su Qing'er. She carefully sized her up, from the top of her head to the bottom of her feet, as though she wanted to memorize every single part of her body. However, as she continued to size her up, the Empress Dowager's eyes were filled with unconcealable surprise, astonishment, and shock. Bring them back. Quick, bring the two of them back. The Empress Dowager secretly took a deep breath, her voice trembling as she shouted impatiently. Understood. The experts of the immortal nation behind her immediately walked towards the two girls, wanting to bring them back to the kingdom of Zu. But just at this moment, the surrounding crowd suddenly dispersed, followed by a series of orderly footsteps. The pressure in the air suddenly increased by a few hundred people, causing people to be unable to stand steadily. Empress Dowager Lu suddenly woke up from her stupor. She raised her head and stared at her surroundings, only to see a large number of spirit cultivator flying out from the crowd, all of them forming a human wall, surrounding the people of the kingdom of Zu tightly. Seeing that, the people of the immortal nation immediately gathered around the Empress Dowager, and took out their magic treasure weapons. The scene instantly became solemn, and a wave of killing intent rose in the surroundings. A person flew over from the top of the city wall. He stood in the air and looked at the people below with contempt. Empress Dowager Lu snorted and shouted, "City Lord Yi, what is the meaning of this? I don't have any other intentions." Yi Junlang said indifferently, "I'm just curious. I don't know who these two people are, and why did Empress Dowager Lu go through so much trouble to find them? Empress Dowager, you are not a child, and I am not a child either. Why do you need to use such an excuse that only a child would believe to deceive me? If they were just the friends of your granddaughter Sun Xiangyan, I don't think you would have to go through so much trouble, right?" As these words fell, Empress Dowager Lu did not say a word and fell completely silent. "What do you want?" After a long while, Empress Dowager Lu asked. "I just want to know their true identities. Haven't I already made it very clear? Why do you insist on quibbling? If Empress Dowager Lu does not reveal the true identities of the two of them today, then I'm afraid I won't be able to leave Fanghua City." Yi Junlang laughed lightly. "Is Fanghua City going to war with my kingdom of Zu?" Empress Dowager Lu secretly snorted. "War?" Yi Junlang was startled for a moment, then laughed out loud. "Empress Dowager Lu, you seem to be mistaken about one thing, right? Your kingdom of Zu is indeed very powerful. Just look at the Fanghua City today. It is definitely not a match for the kingdom of Zu, but you do not understand, nor do you understand me, Yi Junlang. I am just a lone wolf. Occupying this Fanghua City is only for cultivation. As long as I am willing, I can leave at any time. There is nothing here that I cannot let go of. The so-called war simply cannot start, because when your kingdom of Zu's army arrives, perhaps Fanghua City will already be a city without a master." Yi Junlang's words were straightforward. Although the crowd had different thoughts, they all understood the logic behind it. Although Lord Yi was the city lord, he was still a spirit cultivator, and a spirit cultivator who was at ease with the situation. He was not afraid of the kingdom of Zu at all, because he could run. The 10,000 worlds were so big, it was too easy for a person to hide. "I understand what you mean, but you don't seem to understand my kingdom of Zu either." Empress Dowager Lu snorted. "Anyone who makes an enemy of the kingdom of Zu, even if they escape to the ends of the earth, they will never be able to escape. I don't care about that." Yi Junlang laughed. "I only care about the identities of the two today. Empress Dowager Lu, I can promise you, if you are willing to obediently tell me their identities, I will let you bring them away. Do you think this queen will believe you? If you are not willing, then you cannot bring the two of them away. I suspect that they are related to a theft in my Fanghua City. For the sake of Fanghua City's security, they must stay." Yi Junlang, are you determined to go against this queen? Empress Dowager Lu's face had already darkened, waves of killing intent rippling out. "What do you mean by going against?" "I am just doing things according to the rules. If not, wouldn't I, the city lord of Fanghua City, be too incompetent?" Yi Junlang laughed. With that said, Empress Dowager Lu understood that Yi Junlang was completely shameless. No matter what she said, Yi Junlang would not care. He only cared about this, only Su Qing'er and Shangguan Mei Yang. Empress Dowager did not say anything, so both sides could only be in a deadlock. Empress Dowager, what should we do now? An attendant at the side asked softly. Send the signal, let the people outside prepare to enter the city. All of you cover for me to break out. I will bring the two girls back to the kingdom of Ziyu first. Empress Dowager Lu said softly. Yes, Empress Dowager. The attendant at the side nodded, took out a signal treasure, and released it into the sky. A ray of light shot into the sky. Seeing that, Yi Junlang's face changed, killing intent surged. He had already understood Empress Dowager Lu's plan, and said coldly, Empress Dowager Lu, you can only blame yourself for refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. These two girls are definitely not ordinary. If not, you would not do this. Since you are not willing to speak, then I can only find the two girls and interrogate them myself. With that, Yi Junlang bellowed. Do it, kill all the people from the kingdom of Ziyu, capture Empress Dowager Lu alive, and you will be rewarded handsomely. Yes. The people of Fanghua City shouted loudly, and immediately rushed towards Empress Dowager Lu. Kill! The experts of the Kingdom of Immortals also retaliated, attacking in all directions. Both sides started to fight. Yi Junlang's eyes were like torches, staring straight at Empress Dowager Lu. He made his move and attacked. The two peerless experts fought until they reached the clouds, and in that moment, profound techniques danced chaotically in the sky, and light rays shone unceasingly. Su Qing'er and Shangguan Mei Yang huddled closely together. The two of them were still chained up, so it was too late for them to leave. You two, hurry up and come over here. Just then, the spirit nun lady who was holding onto the chains suddenly pulled on the chains, pulling the two girls towards the house at the side. The two girls could not resist and could only follow. However, dong! Just as the chain lady entered the house, the entire house suddenly exploded. A spirit cultivator rushed in and fiercely slapped the top of her head. The chain lady did not even have time to react before her head shattered and she died. Humph, these two women belong to the city lord, no one can touch them. With that, the man grabbed the chains and shouted, Come here! Chapter 885. Su Qing'er staggered and almost fell to the ground. At the moment, she was not in a good state. Her surroundings were filled with the turbulent profound qi and the pressure emitted by the spirit cultivator. The pressure made her feel extremely uncomfortable, and it was still continuously stimulating her, stimulating the profound strength that had finally calmed down with great difficulty. It was like blowing cold air onto a person who was already suffering from a cold. Qing'er, are you all right? Su Qing'er's delicate body was on the verge of collapsing. She almost fell down, as though she did not have much strength left, but was forcefully dragged away by the spirit cultivator using the iron chains. Shangguan Mei Yang watched with hatred and worry. Master, ugh! Just as Su Qing'er wanted to say something, the iron chain tightened again, and with a plop, she fell fiercely to the ground. The spirit cultivator who was pulling the two girls frowned. He turned his head to look at the people behind him, and when he saw Su Qing'er who had fallen to the ground, he immediately became angry and bellowed, Quickly get up, follow me, stop pretending, otherwise don't blame me for being impolite. But the current Su Qing'er could not muster up any strength. Her body was already weak. How could she endure this kind of torture? She's injured and can't walk anymore. Don't force it, Shangguan Mei Yang immediately said. Injured? The spirit cultivator snorted. I see that she is very spirited, and she's even injured? With that said, the spirit cultivator walked over and stepped on Su Qing'er's fair and delicate hand. Ugh! Su Qing'er's face immediately turned pale white from the pain, cold sweat flowed down her face, her small mouth slightly opened. She wanted to shout, but she did not have much strength. Her small face was extremely tense. If it was an ordinary person's palm, it would have long been smashed into pieces. Ha 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 ha, isn't this very spirited? Ha 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 ha. The spirit cultivator laughed out loud. Stop! Shangguan Meiyang shouted at the top of her lungs, her eyes slightly red. She clenched her teeth and rushed towards the spirit cultivator without a care for anything else. Dong! Before the spirit cultivator could even react, he was directly knocked out, and with a flip, he fell onto the rotten table at the side. The iron chain also fell to the ground. Run! Shangguan Meiyang ran over, wanting to help Su Qing'er up, but her own hands were tied, so how could she help Su Qing'er up? Bastard! The spirit cultivator suddenly jumped up, his anger soaring to the sky. He stared at the two girls with a sinister expression. How dare you ambush me? I'll make you wish you were dead. With that, he pulled out a large blade and walked towards Shangguan Meiyang step by step. The city lord only wants the two of you, not the two of you in one piece. I'll chop off your arms and legs and dig out your eyes. Let's see if you'll still behave. With that, the spirit cultivator immediately activated the profound qi, gathered at the tip of his blade, and fiercely pierced towards Shangguan Meiyang's eyes. This was what he meant when he said he would do it. Although the broadsword was incomparably heavy, in the hands of this fellow, it was especially nimble. The edge of the blade was sharp and a cold light flashed. Seeing that, Shangguan Meiyang's eyes trembled, but the current her could not keep up with the other party's speed, much less dodge. There was nowhere to hide, and Qing'er could not help him. Am I going to die here today? Shangguan Meiyang sighed helplessly in her heart. The affairs of the world were unpredictable. She would never have thought that she would die here in the end. Perhaps sometimes one should just follow the arrangements of fate. Boom! Just at that moment of life and death, a ray of multicolored light suddenly fell from the sky and directly struck the spirit cultivator's body. His body was instantly enveloped by the light. He twitched crazily and roared crazily. Ah! The two girls only saw that the person's body was rotting at an astonishing speed. The skin on the surface was first split open, and then the flesh inside was torn apart. A large amount of blood spurted out, followed by bones shattering and internal organs rotting. In the blink of an eye, his entire body had turned into a pile of rotten meat, along with his soul. He had completely died. Such a scene shocked the two girls. Shangguan Meiyang immediately leaned towards Su Qing'er. She stared in the direction where the light was falling, her heart extremely nervous. Who could it be? Was it Empress Dowager Lu's men? At this time, perhaps only Empress Dowager Lu's men would kill this person. But at this moment, a voice that sounded like the sounds of nature floated out. Yang'er, are you all right? Mother is too late. With that said, a figure walked out from the light. Shangguan Meiyang's heart was thumping wildly. She was startled for a moment, then tears flowed out of her eyes. This voice that she had not heard for a long time not only gave her hope, but also endless emotions. In this world, anyone can betray you and abandon you, but there is one person who will never do so, and that is your mother. Regardless of whether it is a mountain of blades or a sea of fire, regardless of whether it is a rain of bullets, she will still rush over without a care for her own safety, just to save you from this suffering. Shangguan Meiyang had long since passed the period of crying, but at that moment she could not suppress her emotions no matter how hard she tried. Mother! Shangguan Meiyang cried out, tears rolling down her face. The graceful Shangguan Qingqing walked out from the light. She quickly walked over, broke the iron chains with one hand, and directly pulled Shangguan Meiyang into her embrace, comforting her softly. Yang'er, don't be afraid, with Mother here, nothing will happen. Mother, you're finally here. Yang'er thought I would never see you again. Shangguan Meiyang cried loudly, without the slightest bit of concealment. All right, it's all in the past. Shangguan Qingqing patted Shangguan Meiyang's back and comforted her with a few words. After that, she broke Su Qing'er's iron chains, released her daughter, and walked towards Su Qing'er. After a rough inspection, Shangguan Qing Cheng's beautiful face was first filled with shock, then her beautiful face turned pale, as though she had sensed something extremely terrifying. Mother Qing'er, is Qing'er all right? The situation is not optimistic. Shangguan Qingqing said softly. She closed her eyes and quickly channeled a burst of profound energy into Su Qing'er's body, then stood up and said to Shangguan Mei Yang, "Yang-er, the situation here is complicated and extremely dangerous. Quickly bring Qing'er back to the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace. Mother will bring up the rear for you." "But, Mother, Yi Jun and Empress Dowager Lu are fighting right now. We should take this opportunity to leave." Furthermore, Shangguan Mei Yang really wanted to say that her mother was not a match for Empress Dowager Lu and Yi Junlang, and even a peak spirit emperor existence here was not someone that Shangguan Qingqing could easily deal with. It was simply difficult to do such a thing. "Don't worry, miss, we will not let you and madam suffer any harm this time." Just then, another voice came out from behind Shangguan Mei Yang. Shangguan Mei Yang was startled. She turned her head to look, only to see two people dressed in silver armor walking out. It was a man and a woman, both of them were handsome and beautiful. The man was tall and mighty, the woman was delicate and exquisite. Both of them held long swords in their hands, their auras were almost undetectable, they had reached a state of restraint, it was unknown what cultivation they had. "You call me miss?" Shangguan Mei Yang frowned. "Could it be that you were sent by my father?" "That's right, Miss is indeed talented and intelligent." The silver-armored woman laughed. "Mother, you're in deep danger, so I can only go find your father." Shangguan Qingqing shook his head and said helplessly, "Miss and Madam can leave first, we will open a path for you to leave this place." "Of course, if Miss and Madam are unwilling to leave and want to watch the show, that's fine as well," the man said. "Watch the show?" Although this person's attitude towards Shangguan Qingqing and Shangguan Mei Yang could be considered respectful, his words were extremely arrogant, as if the people of Ziyu Immortal Country and Fanghua City were nothing more than grass in his eyes. What big words! I'm afraid only immortals would dare to say such words, but I still don't know which power in the immortal world the two of you came from? At this moment, the house was instantly turned to dust, and a cold voice floated over. The one who spoke was Empress Dowager Lu. "Is this an immortal? It looks like he's no different from us." "Oh right, the way you speak might be different. We like to be realistic, and you like to boast. It's indeed different. Yi Junlang also flew over and said in a sarcastic tone. Just like that, the two of them made peace. But it made sense, the people from the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace had already arrived. If they were to continue fighting, Shangguan Qingqing would be able to take advantage of the situation and bring the two of them away. Empress Dowager Lu knew Su Qing'er's secret, and knew of her importance, so she was determined to snatch Su Qing'er back. As for Yi Junlang, he was slightly different. He did not know of Su Qing'er's importance, but seeing how Empress Dowager Lu disregarded everything, he did not think too much about it, and decided to snatch Su Qing'er back first. To be able to make Empress Dowager Lu pay so much attention to her, she would definitely be beneficial. "Are you insulting us?" The silver-armored man held onto his sword and took a step forward, looking at Yi Junlang calmly. "My apologies, I am a straightforward person. If I have offended you in any way, please forgive me, but before that, can I ask you a question?" Yi Junlang laughed. "What question?" "What I said just now, was it wrong?" he asked with a smile. When he said that, it completely angered the silver-armored man. "Humph, the people of the ultimate martial world are truly arrogant. Fine, I will let you experience the power of an immortal." With that, the silver-armored man made his move. With a leap, he rushed towards Yi Junlang. He soared into the air and flew into the sky, his body releasing 100,000 zhang of white light, as though a god of war had descended. It was extremely dazzling. The terrifying spirit chi was like a mountain pressing down on them. Yi Junlang's face changed. Chapter 886. The silver-armored man raised his sword, and the tip of the sword turned into tens of thousands of feet long as he slashed down from the sky. The momentum of this slash was like a rainbow, as if it wanted to split the earth in half. Although Yi Junlang was also an expert, how could he fight against an immortal? He immediately dodged the attack. When the sword fell, the tip of the sword sank into the ground, and the sword energy instantly disappeared. Everyone stared at the place where the sword fell, but there was no earth-shattering sound, no ripples of Xian energy, and no signs of flying sand and stones. When the sword fell to the ground, it was like an ancient well without any ripples. There was no frightening scene at all. What is going on? Could it be that this guy is just an empty shell? That attack just now did not have any effect at all? Everyone thought to themselves, an immortal. Is this all he can do? But in the next second they were slapped in the face. The ground suddenly trembled, and the trembling became more and more violent, faster and faster, and finally, it turned into a violent earthquake. A slit appeared where the sword fell. This slit was like an open mouth, rapidly expanding and spreading, forming an abyss. In less than a breath's time, the entire Fanghua city had been split into two halves, separated by this pitch-black and huge abyss. Seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded. This kind of means moving mountains and filling up the sea. Even the stars and stars would not be a problem, right? Oh, Dodge? Didn't you say that we are just people who talk big? Quickly fight with me. Let me tell you, your understanding is wrong. The silver-armored man snorted, then raised his sword and rushed over again. Yi Junlang knew that he was no match for him in a head-on fight, so he gritted his teeth and immediately retreated. He shouted to the experts of Fanghua City behind him, "All of you go, fight with him, and trap him first. He is only one person, we have more people, there is no need to be afraid. Go quickly." Since the city lord had spoken, they did not dare to disobey. Although the opponent was an immortal, this was Fanghua City, and the opponent was only one person. There were many experts here, so it did not mean that they could not fight. Therefore, the experts of Fanghua City swarmed over, and a series of powerful Xian techniques were sent directly at the immortal's face. A disorderly mob. The silver-armored man laughed coldly. The edge of his sword swirled as sword shadows suddenly shot out in all directions. The entire space was instantly filled with countless sword shadows, directly devouring the experts of the immortal nation who were rushing over. In the blink of an eye, all the experts turned into cold corpses and fell to the ground. There was not a single wound on their bodies, but they had already lost their souls and were completely dead. Seeing this scene, everyone turned pale with fright, including Empress Dowager Lu. These were all Spirit Emperor experts. In front of this immortal, they were actually like pigs and dogs. This immortal's chi had always been restrained, and even if he made a move, no one would be able to sense his chi at all. It was extremely mysterious and difficult to fathom, and facing such an opponent, how could ordinary spirit cultivator contend against him? It was impossible for him to be a match. It was absolutely impossible to resist. In front of this immortal, these so-called Spirit Emperors were practically mortals. How could mortals defeat immortals? 2 casual attacks had already caused the people of Fanghua City to be completely terrified, and their morale had fallen to the lowest point. 7th, take them and leave first. I can deal with these people and guarantee their safety. Otherwise, it will be hard for us to explain to the Lord. Just then, the silver-armored man said, "Got it, be careful." The silver-armored lady said, then turned around and said to Shangguan Qingqing and the rest, "Madam, miss, this way please." "Yes, thank you." Shangguan Qingqing nodded, then supported Su Qinger and walked out, with Shangguan Meiyang following closely behind. Empress Dowager Lu and Yi Junlang could only watch as Shangguan Mei Yang and Su Qing'er left. No one dared to move, afraid that the immortal would unleash his might and destroy them all. Hey, 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 I say, aren't you guys looking down on us too much by leaving just like that? We've been standing here for a long time. At this moment, a voice suddenly came out from the crowd. The silver-armored lady looked over, only to see the crowd automatically split apart, and two figures walked out. The two of them were dressed in white robes, and their temperaments were outstanding. Previously, they had intentionally hidden themselves in the crowd, so no one noticed them. Now that they had appeared, it was as if the sand on the gold had been brushed away, and the light was overflowing in all directions, looking extremely dazzling. When the silver-armored lady saw the two of them, she was extremely shocked, her nerves tensed up. Without any hesitation, she immediately pulled out her sword and pointed. I never thought that such a small place would actually have so many immortals here, the silver-armored lady said. Hee, if you guys can come, why can't we? Laughter came out. Shangguan Mei Yang and the rest sized up the two of them, and realized that they were two men dressed in white. One of them had long hair that draped over his shoulders, the other had a buzz cut, both of them had a sharp aura, they were probably sword experts. Another two immortals. The ordinary rogue cultivators in Fragrant City had long disappeared without a trace, they had forcefully broken through the enchantment and flocked out. The matters between immortals were not something they could control. If they were to fight, they would be implicated, and they would not be able to escape. River Basin, Hua He, it's you guys? When Empress Dowager Lu saw the two of them, she was startled. Empress Dowager Lu, such a thing happened here, why didn't you inform us in time? Fortunately, Lord was worried that something would happen in the Purple Moon Immortal Kingdom, so he specially sent the two of us here. If we didn't come, the situation would have gone out of control. The long-haired man said with a faint smile. He was handsome. His smile was quite charming. Empress Dowager Lu's expression was somewhat ugly. She did not expect that person to have such a move. What is this girl's background? Why did the people of Fragrant City fight for it, and the people of Divine Cloud Immortal Palace protect it? You also want to fight for it? The short-haired man asked in a low voice. This person destroyed the forbidden area left by the ancestors of my immortal kingdom. I need to bring her back to be dealt with. Empress Dowager Lu said in a low voice. I'm afraid it's not that simple. If she destroyed your forbidden area, why did you come here personally to capture her? How did such a silly little girl destroy the forbidden area of your Purple Moon Immortal Kingdom? And this time, it even attracted the attention of immortals? Is it really that simple? On the other side, Mr. E said in a rather strange tone. I don't care what you people do, you can't touch these two. If anyone dares to do anything, don't blame us for being impolite. The silver-armored man and woman stood back to back as they growled at the enemies in front and behind them. Initially, the two of them were completely capable of suppressing everything. But now that two more immortals had appeared, the situation was no longer optimistic. If they were entangled by these two immortals, Shangguan Mei Yang, Shangguan Qingqing, and the others would have no one to protect them. Empress Dowager Lu and Yi Junlang would be able to handle them easily. I know where you came from and who you are. You don't have to threaten us. Whether these two stay or leave is not up to you. The long-haired man laughed. Then, his gaze landed on Empress Dowager Lu. Empress Dowager, should we take this girl? If you want him, I'll have to bring him back to the Celestial Nation to be dealt with. Let's put the punishment aside for now and capture him first. What do you think? Empress Dowager Lu was silent for a moment, then nodded. She no longer had the ability to bring Qing, and the rest away, and if she did not compromise, there was no other way. All right then. The long-haired man's gaze fell upon the two silver-armored men. He smiled and said, Now it's up to you. Are you going to release them? Or do you want us to go get him? Cut the crap. If you want to fight, then fight. The silver-armored man snorted. You don't know what's good for you. The short-haired man had already lost his patience. Stamping his feet, he charged toward the silver-armored man. As he moved, clouds and mist emanated out from his body, making him look like an ethereal immortal. He looked dreamlike and fantastical. It was a truly miraculous sight. Come at me." The silver-armored man was not afraid in the slightest. He raised his sword and welcomed the attack. When the silver-armored man rushed over, everyone immediately went into an uproar and retreated. Even Shangguan Qingqing, Shangguan Mei Yang and the rest were forcefully dragged to the side by the silver-armored woman. However, the moment the two of them clashed, a mysterious force immediately rippled out from the place where they clashed, spreading far into the distance. The surrounding buildings were all turned to dust, and the ground sank by a full 3 meters. The sun and moon lost their light and the sky turned dark. The scene was extremely magnificent. Those spirit cultivators who did not dodge in time were immediately sent flying, and those below the 5th stage of the Spirit Emperor died miserably. Humph, since the battle has begun, then don't even think about leaving. The long-haired man could no longer endure the loneliness. He bellowed and rushed towards the silver-armored woman. He shouted, "Empress Dowager, go and get them. I'll hold her back." Hearing that, the Empress Dowager was immediately overjoyed and said, "All right. Then I'll kill you first." The silver-armored woman was enraged. She pulled out her sword and swung it at the Empress Dowager. In that instant, countless sword chi were released. These sword chi converged into a long torrent that swallowed Empress Dowager Lu. She knew that Shangguan Qingqing and the rest were not Empress Dowager Lu's match, so she immediately made such a move. Empress Dowager Lu's face changed. She used all her strength to dodge to the side. Her cultivation was the highest, and her speed was also the fastest. She directly flipped to the side, as though she had teleported, but the people beside her were not so lucky. The torrent of sword chi attacked and instantly engulfed them. The terrifying torrent of sword chi even engulfed the houses, the distant city walls, and the mountains even further away. When the sword chi disappeared, everything was cleared and nothing existed. It was a complete and utter instant kill. Empress Dowager Lu was almost stunned. Seeing that she did not kill Empress Dowager Lu, the silver-armored woman was furious and rushed forward. But just as she was about to approach Empress Dowager Lu, the long-haired man immediately rushed towards Shangguan Qingqing and the rest. Besiege Wei to rescue Zhao Zhao. Empress Dowager Lu was alone, while Shangguan Qingqing had 3 people. Furthermore, Shangguan Qingqing and Shangguan Mei Yang's identity were not ordinary. The silver-armored woman did not dare to let anything happen to them. Immediately, she turned her sword and pounced towards the long-haired man. "Empress Dowager, I'll leave the rest to you." The long-haired man who was fighting with the silver-armored woman smiled and said to Empress Dowager Lu, "Don't worry." Empress Dowager Lu sneered. She took out a golden staff and rushed towards Shangguan Qingqing. With Empress Dowager Lu's strength, it was enough to capture Shangguan Qingqing and the rest alive. Chapter 887. The situation was extremely dangerous and not optimistic at all. Not only was Empress Dowager Lu unable to deal with them, even the experts of Purple Moon Immortal Kingdom were having a hard time dealing with them. Furthermore, the people of Fanghua City were watching from the side. Who knew if they would suddenly stab them in the back? Although they could not fight against immortals, it was still easy for them to take care of others. "City Lord, what should we do now?" A subordinate asked Yi Junlang. "What should we do? Of course we will watch." Yi Junlang snorted and laughed. "When immortals fight, we cannot interfere. It is said that immortals are at least at the peak of the spirit sage realm. Once they enter the spirit profound immortal realm, they are true immortals. I do not know the rank of these two, nor do I know their exact realm. You all better not act recklessly. If you anger the immortals, we will be annihilated in a flash." We do not know what use the little girl has, but since even the immortals are alarmed, it must be of great use. It is just that we do not have the strength to fight anymore. Let us rest quietly. Immortals fight, it is a rare occurrence in 1,000 years. You all are fortunate enough to witness it today. It is already a great opportunity. Watching immortals fight will definitely bring you good fortune, so we will not make a move. Hearing that, everyone nodded their heads. For safety, Yi Junlang intentionally retreated far away to avoid being accidentally injured. As for the people in Fanghua City, he could not be bothered with them. He did not care if they lived or died. Even if the city was destroyed, it did not matter to him. After all, he was the one who occupied Fanghua City, and the previous owner was killed by him. Yi Junlang did not dare to act rashly, leaving the Purple Moon Immortal Kingdom and Divine Cloud Immortal Palace to fight. Empress Dowager Lu waved the golden staff in her hand and chanted a few incantations. The golden staff shot out a large number of golden chains towards Shangguan Qingqing and the rest. Break! Shangguan Qingqing shouted. A circle of profound spirit chi burst out from her delicate white palm. Puff, puff, puff. The golden chains shattered. Shangguan Qingqing's beautiful face turned pale and her eyes trembled. Obviously, this move had consumed a lot of her profound spirit chi. Seeing this, Empress Dowager Lu's face showed a hint of arrogance. The Divine Cloud Immortal Palace is a secluded sect that only cultivates one's heart and not one's cultivation state. Perhaps my temperament is not as good as yours, but your cultivation state is far from mine. Palace Lord Shangguan, I think it's better for you to surrender. After all, you and I know each other. It's not worth it to shed all pretense of cordiality for the sake of a little girl. There's nothing worth it or not. Qing Er is a member of my immortal palace and my daughter's beloved disciple. I don't know what she did wrong to have to endure such suffering. Empress Dowager Lu, ask yourself honestly, are you capturing Qing Er for the sake of the Forbidden Grounds being destroyed? Are you sure you're not doing this for other selfish reasons? Shangguan Qingqing whispered. Empress Dowager Lu's expression quickly changed, but she did not continue to pursue this topic. She changed the topic and said in a low voice, "Don't say so much useless stuff. Palace Master Shangguan, I've already been very merciful. I've given you so many chances, but you didn't cherish each one. Since you won't listen to my advice, don't blame me for being ruthless." As soon as she finished speaking, Empress Dowager Lu raised her golden staff and attacked again. Shangguan Qingqing's beautiful face congealed. She turned her head and shouted, "Yang Er, quickly bring Qing Er away." "Mother. Then you, the two of you will only be a burden if you stay here. You won't be of any help. Quickly leave. I'll bring up the rear." "Mother. I'm not leaving. I won't abandon you." Shangguan Mei Yang shouted anxiously. She knew that her mother was not Empress Dowager Lu's opponent. Staying behind to bring up the rear was nonsense. "Quickly leave." Shangguan Qingqing clenched her teeth and shouted, "They won't do anything to me. Quickly leave. Quickly." However, just as Shangguan Qingqing finished speaking, a golden cloud suddenly descended on Shangguan Qingqing's shoulders. Boom, boom, boom. Shangguan Qingqing's shoulders shook 3 times, and she directly fell from the sky, crashing into the ground and shattering the ground. Looking at her shoulders, the clothes there were already torn, revealing 2 badly mutilated shoulders. The golden cloud seemed to weigh tens of thousands of kilograms. It was extremely terrifying. Seeing that, Shangguan Mei Yang's heart immediately ached. She rushed over crazily and helped Shangguan Qingqing up. But in the next second, Shangguan Qingqing extended her hand and grabbed her own neck. "Yang Er, if you don't leave, Mother will kill herself in front of you." "Mother, silly child, quickly leave." Shangguan Qingqing was furious. Shangguan Mei Yang was not slow, she would not take 2 of Empress Dowager Lu's moves head-on. But hearing her mother say that, she did not dare to refute. With tears in her eyes, she clenched her teeth and turned to leave. "Take them down." Empress Dowager Lu immediately shouted to the experts of Purple Moon, Immortal Kingdom. "Don't even think about going over." Shangguan Qingqing used all her strength to block the path of these people. "Palace Mistress Shangguan, you are too arrogant." Empress Dowager Lu was completely crazy. When she thought about Su Qing's divine spirit body, her usually calm mind had already become crazy. "Do you really think that I do not dare to do anything to you? You are wrong. Completely wrong. If I want to kill someone, I will not care about who he is. Including you," Empress Dowager Lu said coldly, then waved her hand. "No need to hesitate, since Shangguan Qingqing does not know what's good for her, then kill her." Yes. The experts of the Immortal Kingdom immediately surrounded Shangguan Qingqing and attacked her crazily. Shangguan Qingqing could not hold on by herself, and was unable to block them. In the blink of an eye, her body had already suffered multiple sword wounds, and was covered in blood. Seeing that, the silver-armored man and woman who were fighting intensely became anxious. They threw aside their opponents and rushed over. "You bunch of ants, how dare you harm Madam? All of you die!" The silver-armored man roared in anger, his palm covering the sky. The palm turned into the size of Mount Tai and fell from the sky. Boom! The gigantic palm covered the area where Shangguan Qingqing was, and all the people surrounding her were directly covered by the gigantic palm. Even Empress Dowager Lu was no exception. The gigantic palm landed on the ground, and with a hong-long sound, an earth-shattering sound came out. The entire ground was instantly split into pieces, and the distant sea raised huge waves that reached the sky. The world shook violently, as though it was the end of the world. Every single attack of the immortal shook the entire world. The shock wave blew far away, causing Yi Junlang and the others who were watching from afar to feel dizzy. They finally managed to stand up with great difficulty. When Yi Junlang saw that the gigantic palm had enveloped both Empress Dowager Lu and Shangguan Qingqing, he was shocked. How could this immortal not differentiate between friend and foe? How could Shangguan Qingqing withstand such a palm with her current strength? Were these two really here to save her? It looked more like they were trying to kill someone, right? However, when the gigantic palm lifted up, Yi Junlang did not make a sound anymore. The flesh and bone at the center of the gigantic palm had shrunk quite a bit, and the place where it had shrunk was exactly where Shangguan Qingqing was. On the other hand, Empress Dowager Lu was in a much more miserable state. She had to rely on a magical artifact to withstand the attack. It was a magical artifact that looked like a porcelain bowl that covered her entire body. However, at this moment, the porcelain bowl was completely shattered, and Empress Dowager Lu was half lying on the ground, coughing up blood. Bastard! When the long-haired man saw Empress Dowager Lu in such a state, he immediately flew into a rage. He abandoned the silver-armored man and charged at Shangguan Qingqing with his sword. "Don't you dare harm the madam!" The silver-armored man turned around and charged at Shangguan Qingqing. Both of them were protecting one person each, and the battle was extremely complicated. Neither of them dared to go all out and had to split their attention to look after the other two. Empress Dowager Lu was originally stronger than Shangguan Qingqing, but after the silver-armored man's sudden attack, she was heavily injured. It would not be easy to take down Shangguan Qingqing now. Kill them all! Empress Dowager Lu swallowed a medicinal pill, panting heavily as she shouted to the surviving Celestial Nation experts beside her. However, these Celestial Nation experts could only look at each other in dismay. None of them dared to step forward. So many of them had already died, so how could they dare to act rashly? The other party was an immortal. If they stepped forward now, wouldn't they just be sending themselves to their deaths? What are you all waiting for? Hurry up and attack! Empress Dowager Lu roared. But everyone remained indifferent. Seeing this scene, Empress Dowager Lu was instantly enraged. However, she did not act up immediately. She was no fool, and after thinking about it carefully, she immediately understood what these people were thinking. Gritting her teeth, she said, "Since you all are unwilling to touch Shangguan Qingqing, then leave the city immediately and chase after Shangguan Meiyang and the others. I don't care what methods you use, but you must capture them and bring them back to the Celestial Nation immediately. If you still dare to defy the decree, I will not spare you." "Understood," everyone hurriedly replied, and then hurriedly ran out of the city. Shangguan Meiyang did not have the protection of an immortal, so it was naturally much easier to deal with her. Rather than letting these people seek death to deal with an immortal, it was better to let them do what they could. Seeing the Celestial Nation experts leaving the city, Yi Junlang could no longer bear the loneliness. "Gather everyone and leave the city immediately. Follow these people and find those 2 girls," Yi Junlang said solemnly. "Hide well, don't let them discover us. Think of a way to kill these Celestial Nation experts, and bring those 2 girls away from Fanghua City." "Master, what about you?" "I can't leave. The moment I leave, they will know that I went to chase after those 2 girls, and maybe they will stop fighting and come to deal with me together, so I have to stay here and stabilize them. When you guys succeed, send me a signal, and I will leave." "All right, this subordinate will do it immediately. Be careful when you leave, don't let anyone discover you," Yi Junlang warned. The people of Fanghua City also started to move, and the situation became even more complicated and chaotic. Shangguan Qingqing and Empress Dowager Lu could not leave, while the 4 immortals used Fanghua City as their battlefield, engaging in an earth-shattering battle that could shake the entire ultimate martial world. The huge Fanghua City that could accommodate hundreds of thousands of people did not even last for 2 hours before it was completely turned into ruins. The unique power of the immortals was still rippling in the world. No one knew what the final outcome would be. Maybe there would be immortals falling. Chapter 888. Su Yun led the group of demon blood guards and neared Fanghua City. Although they had yet to enter the city, the aura of destruction that floated out from the city had already made Su Yun and the rest vigilant. Did something happen in the city? Why was there such a dense and terrifying aura? Suddenly, dong dong, dong dong, a series of loud noises rang out from within the city, and a large amount of terrifying aura blew outwards like a tidal wave. The trees and rocks outside all turned into gravel and disappeared without a trace, showing just how powerful this aura was. Su Yun and the demon blood guards looked from afar and realized that the entire fragrant flower city had turned into ruins. "Lord Demon Lord, there seems to be someone fighting inside," a demon blood guard said in a low voice. "This aura is too profound and hard to guess. I'm afraid that the person who is fighting has an extraordinary cultivation base. I've never come in contact with such an aura before. I'm afraid that there might be some hidden experts appearing. Sir Devil Monarch, our operation this time around is for the Purple Moon Immortal Empire. It's best not to interfere in the matters of Fanghua City. Earlier on, I saw people from the Purple Moon Immortal Empire on the way here. I'm afraid that Empress Dowager Lu should be inside Fanghua City dealing with her matters. The Purple Moon Immortal Empire is after all a major empire with extraordinary strength. Empress Dowager Lu should be able to handle her matters well. There's no need for us to worry." A tall and sturdy demon blood guard cupped his fists and said in a low voice. Their main mission for coming here this time was to protect Su Yun's safety. Naturally, they would stay far away from such a dangerous place. Su Yun also understood their thoughts. It was better to avoid trouble. If anything went wrong, the blood demon guards would be in trouble. He nodded his head. "Since that's the case, then let's not get involved in this mess. Let's go to the kingdom of Ziyu to take a look." With that, he turned around. The demon blood guards heaved a sigh of relief. But just then, a commotion suddenly came from the direction of Fanghua City. A gust of wind blew, and a wave of chaotic profound chi struck Su Yun and the rest. Everyone stopped in their tracks and looked over, only to see a few spirit cultivator dressed in immortal country robes suddenly coming over. With one sword strike they chopped down a few big trees in front of Su-yun, and using profound strength, they quickly stabbed them into the ground, forming a row, forming a wooden wall sealing off the road. Behind him, he could hear the sounds of fighting and the sound of something tearing through the air. So. A few profound techniques cut through the sky. The spirit cultivator standing on the wooden wall pulled out a long and sharp sword and shouted in a low voice, "Let's see where you can run to this time." "Damn it! Master B, be careful!" Two weak female voices came from behind the wooden wall. One was resentful, while the other was anxious. However, when these two voices entered Su-yun's ears, it caused Su-yun's expression to tense up, and his nerves to become extremely tense. What a familiar voice! This voice, Su-yun felt that his brain was buzzing and was about to stop working. "Let's see what's going on." Su-yun could not help but shout. "Yes!" A demon blood guard rushed out, raised his bright red broadsword, and swung it at the wooden wall. The violent demonic energy rubbed against the air, tearing everything in front of it apart. Clang! The wooden wall suddenly shattered, and before the spirit cultivator who was standing on the wooden wall could react, he fiercely fell to the ground. Dust flew everywhere and debris flew everywhere. Then, two battered young girls with wounds all over their bodies stumbled out from within. They did not have much profound strength left, and even maintaining flight was difficult. They could only rely on their legs to walk. Their bodies swayed, their footsteps unsteady. However, when the two girls appeared in Su-yun's line of sight, Su-yun was completely stunned. His originally indifferent expression had been replaced by astonishment. His eyes widened and slowly became sluggish. These two were actually Shangguan Meiyang? Qinger? The two girls supported each other and ran forward. Su Qinger looked forward, her small face was abnormally pale, but when she saw the figure standing not far in front of her, she was also startled. This person was dressed in black, and his face was handsome, as if he had been cut by a knife or axe. His skin was rather pale, but his eyes were bright and full of spirit. She opened her dark and empty eyes wide. A moment later, she rubbed her eyes with all her might, as if she had seen wrongly. Young master? Su Qinger's dry lips could not help but move, her voice was filled with uncertainty, her voice was so weak that only she could hear it, at least Su-yun could not hear it, but from the shape of her mouth, Su-yun knew what she was saying. However, Su-yun was extremely shocked at the moment. He opened his eyes and stared straight at Su Qinger. His pitch-black pupils instantly turned scarlet red, his fists were clenched tightly, and an uncontrollable wave surged in his heart. Bastard! Who is meddling in other people's business? Don't you know that we are from the kingdom of Ziyu? The few immortal country experts who were shaken by the demon blood guard's chi flew over and roared in anger. It's a few devil cultivator-s. Hee, the devil cultivator is so impressive, to actually dare to act so atrociously in the kingdom of Ziyu. The experts of the immortal country gathered in a row and stared coldly at Su-yun. However, Su-yun did not even look at them. His gaze was focused on Su Qinger. Shangguan Meiyang's expression was a little startled, looking at the people in front of her. She shook her head with all her might, her pink hair swaying like waves, as if she felt that this was just a dream. However, dreams were not like that. Qinger finally, Su-yun could not help but call out. This voice was like a divine bell in the heavenly palace, ringing the drowsy Su Qinger. Her pupils dilated to the limit, her lips pursed tightly together, and tears rolled down her cheeks. At this moment, Shangguan Meiyang realized that Su Qinger, who was beside her, did not need her support and was already able to stand on her own. Furthermore, her pale white face had recovered a little, as though the energy that had invaded her consciousness had completely retreated. At this moment, her spirit and willpower were incomparably strong. How could this be? Shangguan Mei Yang was stunned. In the blink of an eye, Su Qing'er had undergone a tremendous change. Could it be that it was all because of the man in front of him? When the experts of the immortal country saw that Su Yun had actually ignored them, and did not reply, and did not even look at them, they were immediately enraged. "Bastard! How dare you ignore us?" The spirit cultivator S from the immortal country roared. "A group of devil cultivator dares to be so arrogant here. Don't you know where you are? Quickly kneel down for us, or else you will die without a burial ground." A cold snort came out. "Kneel?" Su Yun looked at the wounds all over Su Qing'er's body, and was so angry that his veins popped out. "Did you guys do this? Hey, you're angry?" One of the experts from the immortal country laughed coldly, and then said in a provocative tone, "We did all of this, what can you do? You don't know, these two girls were like two rats scurrying around, being chased and beaten by us. Ha 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 ha, in a while, we will skin them in front of you, pull out their tendons, and refine their souls. That kind of taste, it must be very satisfying, right?" Ha 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 ha, everyone laughed out loud. Hearing that, the anger in Su Yun's heart surged like a huge wave, unable to be quelled. He did not make a move. He only pulled out the death sword from the sword sheath at his waist, stared coldly at the experts from the immortal country, and roared, "Cut off their limbs!" "Yes, sir." The demon blood guards behind him shouted in unison. They could feel the anger of the demon lord, and the provocative words of these people also made them extremely angry. Immediately, all the demon blood guards moved out. Just as they moved, they uniformly turned into balls of blood mist, enveloping the experts from the immortal country. These people were all startled, feeling that something was wrong. The other party's momentum was especially strong. Previously, they did not move, and their cultivation could not be seen, so they did not reveal anything. Everyone thought that they were afraid of revealing their cultivation, and if they were seen by the other party, then they would be even more daring. But from the looks of it, that was not the case. The other party was not weak at all. They were not purposely restraining their own qi, but they could not see through the other party's cultivation at all. The blood mist spread out, and the experts from the immortal country were all shocked, hurriedly urging their techniques to block. However, the blood mist was strange and hard to find. Ordinary weapons could not hit them at all, and directly passed through, and when the blood mist neared them, it immediately corroded their skin and flesh. Ah! Miserable screams came out. The magic treasures on their bodies, their own profound qi, were completely ignored by the blood mist, directly corroding their bodies, and the pain was so intense that it could drive people crazy. The blood mist wrapped around an expert from the immortal country, and in a few breaths of time, those existences lost the ability to resist. The demon blood guards all appeared, raising their demonic blades. They ruthlessly slashed at their arms and legs, not showing the slightest bit of mercy. "Poochie! Poochie! Poochie!" A clear and crisp sound rang out. The terrifying demonic blades directly cut through their armor, tearing their flesh, and a large number of severed arms and legs fell to the ground, fresh blood covering the ground. Those experts from the immortal country immediately fell to the ground, screaming in pain. The intense pain almost made them faint, and their minds were crazily destroyed. Large amounts of devil qi were corroding their wounds, as if millions of ants were crawling and gnawing on them. Su Yun carried the death sword and walked over step by step, his expression extremely sinister. "You are from the kingdom of Ziyu?" Su Yun asked in a low voice. "Damn it, don't kill us!" the experts from the immortal country shouted with trembling mouths. Some of them were stubborn, while others were already begging for mercy. "We are. So what if we are from the kingdom of Ziyu? Who are you?" A spirit cultivator clenched his teeth and shouted. "How dare you? This is my true devil sex, Lord Demon Lord." The demon blood guard at the side roared in a low voice, and fiercely kicked the man. With a cracking sound, the kick actually shattered all the bones in the man's body. "True devil sect. the people from the kingdom of Zu were all shocked. And it was the demon lord? Why would the demon lord of the true devil sect come here? Chapter 889. Lord Devil Lord, these people don't know what's good for them. I'm afraid that the kingdom of Zu will not tolerate them. Why don't we kill them and devour their souls? Let the people of the kingdom of Zu know the might of my true devil sect. A blood demon guard coldly glanced at the group of people and said in a deep voice. They were blood demon guards, personal guards personally nurtured by the elders of the true devil sect. They were different from the demon guard. They were existences that specialized in serving the true devil sect, and in order to protect the true devil sect, they would do everything in their power to increase their own strength, using any means possible, even if it was against human reason. Devouring souls and spirits was simply a common occurrence for them. Don't worry, I'll ask you a few questions. Su-yun turned his gaze to these people and asked with an ice-cold expression, Let me ask you, why are you chasing after the two of them? However, as soon as he said this, these people remained silent, their bodies trembling. They weren't fools. They knew that they had kicked an iron plate this time. Whether or not they could survive was a problem. If you tell me honestly, I can spare your lives, Su-yun said in a low voice. When the people who were still wailing heard this, they looked at each other in dismay. These words gave birth to a trace of light in their despairing hearts. The few of them exchanged glances and finally chose to compromise. We don't know why either. The Empress Dowager said that these two people destroyed the forbidden grounds of our kingdom of Zu and must be severely punished. In addition, the city lord of Fanghua City is also capturing this person. We do not know the reason why the two of them are here. Lord, please let us go. That's all we know. These people spoke with trembling voices. Even the few tough bones from before had given in and were begging for mercy in a low voice. Is that so? Su-yun said in a low voice. Other than that, you don't know anything else. No. I don't know. Master, we really don't know anything. Master, please let us go. We will never dare to offend you again. The experts of the immortal country were begging for mercy. However, Su-yun was too lazy to waste his breath on them. Demon Blood Guard. This subordinate is here. I'll leave the rest to you guys. Hearing that, the demon blood guards were stunned at first, then they were overjoyed and hurried over. Sir, didn't you say, as long as we tell you what we know, you won't kill us? Sir, although I said I wouldn't kill you, I didn't say they couldn't kill you, Su-yun said coldly. Furthermore, I never planned to let you off from the start. Just from the fact that these people dared to hurt Ching-er, Su-yun had already classified them as enemies that he would not rest until he was dead. Towards such enemies, Su-yun would rather shamelessly break his promise. The wails of the immortal nation experts could not stop this from happening. The demon blood guards were like a pack of wild beasts, crazily devouring the experts of the immortal nation. Whoosh, 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 in the blink of an eye, these experts from the celestial nation were all dismembered, and their souls were all devoured. Not a single one was left alive. Seeing such a cruel scene, Shangguan Mei Yang's face turned pale white. After not changing for so long, this person called Su-yun seemed to have completely changed. He had become even more vicious, even more savage, even colder than before, and even more protective of his own people. For Ching-er, he did not even blink when he killed people. Su-yun did not look at the tragic scene, but turned his gaze to Ching-er. His eyes seemed to be attracted by a magnet, and could not move away for a long time. He walked over and hugged Ching-er in his arms. Are you all right? He said gently in a low voice. Young master, Ching-er could not hold it in any longer. Her eyes were like a broken dam, and tears flowed out continuously from her eyes. It's all right. It's all right. Young master is here, Su-yun comforted her softly. He pulled Ching-er's hand and was about to say something, but, His gaze inadvertently landed on Qing'er's small hand, which was almost cracked. What an exquisite little hand it should have been. But at this moment, her skin and flesh were split open, and there was even a clear footprint on the black soil. No matter how stupid Su Yun was, he knew what had happened. Immediately, his face changed, his expression distorted, and his eyes were so red that they seemed to be dripping blood. A burst of baleful qi surged out from his body, and the demon blood guards who were still enjoying the delicious food were all shocked. What happened to the demon lord? Where did you get injured? Su Yun growled. It was like the roar of a wild beast. Young master, I'm fine. Let's hurry up and leave. There are immortals fighting in the city. Let's go. Su Qing'er said weakly, gasping for breath after saying a few words. Immortal? So what? I will kill immortals today. At this moment, Su Yun was completely blinded by anger. In this world, only Su Qing'er would accompany him when he was at his lowest and most useless. Only Su Qing'er would dare to die for him at any time, only Su Qing'er would dare to abandon the entire world to follow him. If it was said that in this world, Su Yun had even lost Su Qing'er, then he would truly have nothing left. Seeing Su Qing'er's body full of wounds, Su Yun felt as if his heart was being cut by 1,000 blades, and was in extreme pain. Su Yun, now is not the time to be impulsive. Qing'er needs to recuperate. Quickly bring Qing'er and leave. Return to the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace. Shangguan Meiyang, who was at the side, saw Su Yun being so impulsive, and immediately became anxious, and immediately spoke up. From your tone, it seems like you don't plan to leave? Su Yun turned his head and looked at her with blood-red eyes. Being stared at by Su Yun like that, Shangguan Meiyang's heart trembled, but she still calmed herself down and said softly, Mother fell into danger to save me, I cannot leave. Well said. Su Yun nodded his head. Even if she did not do this for you, you cannot leave. After all, she is your mother. Shangguan Meiyang wanted to say something, but was pulled over by Su Yun. Miss Shangguan, I'll leave Qing'er in your care. I will arrange for my blood demon guards to escort you back to the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace. You guys wait there for now, I will go save Palace Master Shangguan. Su Yun, you, with your strength, even if you go, it will be a waste of time. You will definitely not be able to save Palace Master Shangguan. Su Yun's words immediately pushed her back. Hearing that, Shangguan Meiyang opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but was unable to. So leave the rest to me. With that said, Su Yun carried the death sword and walked forward. Master Demon Lord, our duty is to protect your safety. What should we do? The blood demon guards were worried. But just as they spoke, Su Yun suddenly turned his neck and stared at them coldly with his blood-red eyes. Do you all dare to disobey the Demon Lord's words? Even colder words came out of his mouth. The blood demon guards felt as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. Their entire bodies shivered, and they did not dare say another word. Yes, sir. Quickly protect them and leave. Not a single strand of hair is missing. Otherwise, I will definitely not forgive you. Yes, sir. All the demon guards shouted. With that said, Su Yun leaped and flew towards Fanghua City. Young master! Su Qing'er used all her strength to shout, but was unable to call Su Yun back. He had long been bewitched. Encountering such a thing, his demonic nature exploded, and was not something that could be controlled with just a few words. Qing'er, let's go. Shangguan Meiyang said. No, I'm not leaving. I want to wait here for young master. Su Qing'er wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes and clenched her teeth. I won't go anywhere until young master returns. Master, please leave first. Qing'er, do you think I will leave so easily? Shangguan Meiyang sighed faintly, and said indifferently, All right, since mother is still inside as her daughter, how can I leave so easily? If you want to wait for your young master here, then I will also wait for my mother here. We will go through thick and thin together, so let's continue. Master. Su Qing'er wanted to persuade her again, but she saw the determination in Shangguan Mei Yang's eyes. She understood that once Shangguan Mei Yang made a decision, she would never change it. She silently nodded her head and did not say anything else. The two girls had made up their minds, but it made the Blood Demon Guards suffer. "Captain, what should we do now? They don't seem to be planning to leave?" "The Demon Lord has given the order, we cannot disobey, we have to carry them away." "But do you know the way to the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace?" "What kind of place is the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace?" "What are you guys doing? You can't even do this. If you don't know the way, why don't you ask them?" "But they seem to be very important people to the Demon Lord, we cannot offend them." The group of Blood Demon Guards gathered together to discuss, but after a long time, they did not come to a conclusion. They could not leave, and could only stand there in a stalemate. Just then, a few terrifying explosions came out from Fanghua City. Su Qing'er and the Blood Demon Guards only saw a wave of qi attack, directly spreading in all directions. The qi was extremely terrifying everywhere it passed, regardless of whether it was a mountain or a forest. Upon contact with it, it would immediately be destroyed, as though everything was made out of sand. Seeing that, the Blood Demon Guards' expressions congealed. They immediately rushed in front of Shangguan Mei Yang and Su Qing'er and raised their hands to instigate demonic power, causing a circle of red light to envelop everyone. Dong! Intense turbulence appeared on the red cover. The red cover swayed. The few Blood Demon Guards were having a hard time holding on. They could see a group of Fanghua City spirit cultivators in the distance congealing their qi cover to block, but their cultivation was not high enough. The qi cover was instantly broken. They were swallowed by the qi wave, instantly turning into sand and disappearing, along with their souls. This power could be said to destroy the heavens and earth. After a while, the qi wave stopped. The Blood Demon Guards gasped for breath as they kept their qi cover. Looking into the distance, an astonishing scene appeared. The entire fragrant flower city had disappeared. Chapter 890. It was an unimaginable scene. The terrifying attack had caused the entire Fanghua City to disappear. Who was the one behind this attack? How powerful was the profound technique? Although the attack was extremely powerful, it did not affect Su Yun, who was rushing towards Fanghua City. No matter how powerful the attack was, it would disappear the moment it got close to him. Fanghua City had disappeared along with countless rogue cultivators who did not manage to escape in time. The Celestial Nation experts that followed Empress Dowager Lu were all annihilated, and Yi Junlang had suffered heavy losses. Even he himself was not spared. He was flung away by the qi wave and spat out blood, suffering from severe injuries. Empress Dowager Lu and Shangguan Qingqing were fine. Both of them had the protection of immortals. They were not harmed. The silver-armored man and the long-haired immortal fought fiercely. Everything around them was destroyed. Intense immortal qi shook the sky. The scene was extremely tragic. The surroundings were silent. The four immortals were all injured and exhausted. After the attack, the two sides temporarily separated and faced each other. "Do you two still want to resist?" The long-haired man gasped for breath and revealed a smile. "I feel that the two of you cannot hold on for much longer. It is best that you leave quickly. If not, I am afraid that I will have to kill immortals today. If you have the guts, then come at me. Why waste time by nagging?" The silver-armored man snorted. He did not want to admit defeat. "Damn it!" The short-haired man snorted coldly. He raised his weapon and rushed towards the silver-armored man again. Lu Yang Chao Tian. 3 clear qi spirit. The two of them unleashed a technique. The dazzling technique brushed past the void and collided. Boom! Another terrifying shockwave shot out from between the two of them. The other immortals immediately activated their techniques to protect Empress Dowager Lu and Shangguan Qingqing. The two of them were extremely weak. Upon contact with the profound qi, they would die on the spot. If not for the protection, they would have long been killed. The two of you, do not be entangled with them. Qing'er and Yang'er have already left. We have nothing to worry about, just leave. Just then, Shangguan Qingqing spoke. Madam, even if you say so, I am afraid that the two of them will not let us go so easily. The silver-armored lady replied. The ultimate martial world is only so big we can't escape. If we don't get rid of the two of them today, there will be endless troubles in the future. Seventh son, don't pay attention to them. Take madam and leave. I'll stay here and bring up the rear. At this moment, the silver-armored man who was fighting with the short-haired man suddenly shouted. Bring up the rear? With just you? I'll let you scout the way in hell first. The short-haired man grunted coldly. Suddenly, terrifying and shocking immortal energy condensed in his hands, and he blasted it towards the silver-armored man's sword at lightning speed. The silver-armored man hurriedly raised his sword to block, but before his opponent's palm could even get close, he suddenly turned and slightly shifted his direction, brushing past the sword and hitting the silver-armored man's body. The silver-armored man's armor instantly caved in, and he was sent flying, falling to the ground. Ah! Seeing that, Shangguan Mei Yang and the silver-armored lady were immediately shocked. Haha, let's see what tricks you have up your sleeves this time. The long-haired man laughed out loud. Don't say any more. Empress Dowager Lu said coldly. Capture this person, she is Shangguan Mei Yang's mother. With her as a hostage, it will be easy for us to get the two of them back. We can use this person as a hostage in exchange. Don't worry, these people are just turtles in a jar, they won't be able to escape even if they have wings. The long-haired man laughed. At this moment, the short-haired man had already grasped the gap that the silver-armored man revealed, and directly dropped down from the sky, falling towards the silver-armored man like a meteor. This falling strike was extremely imposing. Be careful! The silver-armored lady called seventh son shouted anxiously. The silver-armored man wanted to dodge, but he realized that it was too late. The short-haired man was practically a killing genius. His strength was not much higher than the silver-armored man, but he was very proficient in speed. After exchanging a few blows with the silver-armored man, he was able to deduce how much immortal energy the silver-armored man was producing at every moment, and how fast the immortal energy was being circulated. As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will emerge victorious. The short-haired man was able to figure out everything about his opponent in such a short period of time, which meant that he had already won half the battle. If he wanted to defeat him, he could only rely on a defensive magic treasure. The silver-armored man thought in a low voice, and no longer hesitated, preparing to activate his magic treasure. However, at this critical moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. The two of them were startled. Why would someone come? Who was so reckless and dared to interfere in a battle between immortals? Furthermore, when this person came, the two of them did not even notice, however. The figure wielded a ferocious and violent black sword, and slashed at the short-haired man. The black sword revealed its sharpness, and it was a ghastly sight to behold. As the sword descended, the void trembled violently. The sword intent on the body of the sword caused one's skin to tremble, and one's hair to stand on end. However, since he had already made his move, how could he stop? Even if his opponent attacked with his sword, the short-haired man was not afraid, and went all out. However, vdong! A violent explosion sounded. A black light flashed, and the sword intent exploded. The short-haired man was like a kite with a broken string, flying far away, and fiercely falling to the ground. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked, stunned. This short-haired man was an immortal. To be able to repel an immortal. Could he be an immortal as well? Carrying such suspicions, everyone's gaze once again gathered in front of the silver-armored man, only to realize that the person standing there was not an immortal, but a demonic cultivator. They only felt that this person's chi was extremely dense, and his entire body was surrounded by a large number of devil souls. The devil souls that revolved around him would enter his body from time to time, and would leak out from his body from time to time. This person's chi was extremely terrifying, like a peerless treasure sword, and nothing else could compete with it. "Who are you?" the silver-armored man asked in a daze. However, Su Yun did not reply to the silver-armored man. Instead, he turned around and looked at Shangguan Qingqing, who was standing with the silver-armored lady, and said indifferently, "Palace Mistress Shangguan, thank you for saving Qing. Su Yun will remember your kindness." Su Yun, Shangguan Qingqing's eyes widened slightly. She could not believe her own eyes. The person in front of her was actually Su Yun? No matter how she looked at it, it did not seem like it. After not seeing him for so long, he had actually changed so much, and this chi was actually extremely complicated, not even comparable to immortal chi. What exactly happened to him? Shangguan Qingqing looked at Su Yun with a complicated expression. "Palace Mistress Shangguan, let me ask you one more time." Just then, Su Yun spoke again, but this time, his voice was much deeper and gloomier than before. "Let me ask you, who injured Qing to such a state?" Shangguan Qingqing was startled, then asked, "Su Yun, are you an immortal realm cultivator?" "No." "Then don't interfere in this matter, quickly leave," Shangguan Qingqing said anxiously. Although she did not know what was going on with that move, but she guessed that Su Yun must have done it by accident. "That means to say, these are the people who injured Qing Su Yun's sword eyes turned, and stared at Empress Dowager Lu and the rest. "Su Yun, don't be rash," Shangguan Qingqing immediately shouted. But Su Yun had already made his decision, and did not speak anymore. Su Yun stepped forward, carrying the death sword. He walked towards the long-haired man. His attitude was firm, his steps were steady, and he would not change his mind. Shangguan Qingqing still wanted to persuade him, but Su Yun had already walked over, and no matter how she tried, it would be futile. "Oh. Interesting, although your chi is strong, I can't feel your immortal force. I reckon that you're only at the spirit sage realm. How dare you spout nonsense here, and provoke my generation of immortals?" The long-haired man chuckled. "That was like striking a rock with an egg. The strength of a person does not depend on their cultivation, but their methods." Su Yun said coldly, "Today, you and I will not rest until one of us is dead." His demonic nature was completely stimulated, he was not rational anymore, and was mostly emotional and impulsive. This was what a demonic cultivator should be like, to quickly settle grudges, and wield his sword to conquer the world. "You reckless fool!" The short-haired man stood up, his face revealing dense anger and malevolence. Su Yun's sudden attack made him feel that he had lost all his face. If he did not kill Su Yun, he would not be able to establish himself in the future. He threw the silver-armored man aside, and directly walked towards Su Yun. With every step he took, the killing intent on his body would explode out. The long-haired man felt the change in the short-haired man, and was startled, then laughed out loud and pointed at Su Yun. "You're finished! You're finished! Ha 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 ha, 10 steps kill. This is 10 steps kill. You have angered this guy, in the heavens and earth, immortals, saints and devils, no one can save you, ha 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 ha." 10 steps kill. With every step this man took, his killing intent soared. After 10 steps, his killing intent seemed to have reached its peak. The next attack would be a sure kill attack. However, just as the short-haired man was accumulating his killing intent, Su Yun made his move. All the devil souls in his body seemed to have converged into his body in the blink of an eye, hidden within, and his power was exploding out at an astonishing speed. The originally complicated chi became clear, becoming fierce, berserk, and untamed. He stepped forward, his body seemed to teleport, and in an instant, appeared in front of the short-haired man. The short-haired man's reaction speed was also shocking. He immediately raised the blade in his hand, and slashed towards Su Yun's neck. Immortal force erupted. But at this critical moment, the death sword also released a terrifying demonic power and directly blocked the blade. Clang! A loud sound rose. However, the moment the two blades came into contact, the short-haired man's arms were instantly broken, blood spurted out, and his immortal power was in a mess. Slash! The ear-piercing sound stimulated the hearts of everyone present. What? Everyone was shocked. Su Yun raised his left hand, pulled out the black blade, and swung it a few times, directly using the hilt to strike the short-haired man's head. Bang! His head was like a smashed watermelon. It immediately split into pieces, brain juices burst out, blood splattered everywhere, and sticky things scattered all over Su Yun's body. Chapter 891. Instant Kill? Everyone's expressions were sluggish and petrified. They practically didn't dare believe their eyes. That was an immortal, not a pig or a dog. Yet, he actually killed him with a single strike? The other party should only be a spirit sage, right? How could there be such a method? The short-haired man was at the peak of the spirit sage, someone who was about to peak at the spirit profound immortal. Even a true spirit profound immortal would find it difficult to kill the short-haired man in an instant, right? This person was definitely not a spirit sage. This was the first thought that popped up in everyone's mind. But if he wasn't, then what kind of strength did he have? Su Yun kept his black blade and placed the death sword down. The man in front of him had his head broken and both his arms broken. He was long dead. The mystical and astonishing celestial chi around his body was dispersing at an alarming rate, and his body was also flickering with light, as if his celestial soul was about to leave his body. This was not the power brought about by Su Yun's own cultivation, but the power given to him by the last statue in the true devil sect's ancient tomb. Devil soul. Within 6 hours, he would raise his strength to the peak of the spirit cultivator. What was the peak? Su Yun did not know, but from his understanding, it was an existence even stronger than the spirit profound immortal. After activating the devil soul, even if Su Yun were to challenge all the great demonic statues, the outcome would be decided in an instant. Although it was only 6 hours, it was the capital that Su Yun had to contend against everything, and also the capital that allowed him to slaughter immortals. The short-haired man's soul did not dare to leave his body. He was afraid that once he left his body, he would be devoured by Su Yun, but he did not know that this broken body could no longer protect him. Su Yun raised the death sword and slashed at the corpse. The violent sword chi was like countless sharp claws, tearing his body apart, causing his immortal soul to leak out. He opened his mouth wide, and swallowed the soul into his stomach just like how he had swallowed the Supreme Sect Lord back then, digesting it to his heart's content. From start to finish, not even 100 breaths had passed. An immortal had fallen just like that. An immortal had fallen. Everyone's eyes widened as they stared in shock at this rare scene. In this small Fanghua city, an immortal died. If this matter were to spread, it would shock the entire ultimate martial world. His battle caused everyone to freeze. People stared at him blankly, as if this was his performance time. "It's your turn." Su Yun turned and walked towards the long-haired man. The long-haired man was no longer as indifferent as before. Looking at Su Yun, his eyes were filled with fear. To be able to kill the short-haired man so easily, how much effort would it take to kill him? Empress Dowager Lu was also shocked. Her entire body could not help but tremble. She was not trembling because she was afraid, but because she was intimidated by Su Yun's aura. In this place, immortals were practically invincible existences, but the current Su Yun had actually broken this invincibility, and it was a clean and tidy attack. Who was this person? Alright, since you want those 2 girls, I'll give them to you. I won't be accompanying you. The long-haired man did not dare to stay any longer. He was already shaken by Su Yun's ruthless methods. Even his voice was trembling. With that, he leaped up and ran away. However, just as he flew into the sky, an eagle the size of a small mountain suddenly flew out from the thick layer of clouds, heading straight for the long-haired man. The long-haired man was caught off guard, and was directly struck by the eagle. He dropped down from the sky, and anxiously stabilized himself. However, with his delay, Su Yun had the opportunity. He leaped straight into the air, the devil chi dragging out a long tail, like a black dragon pouncing towards the sky. The long-haired man immediately activated his technique to defend, but before he could activate his immortal technique, his body was enveloped by the devil chi. In the next second, he realized that Su Yun had disappeared. He had disappeared without a trace. Invisibility technique? No. Invisibility technique? Who was the person who wanted to kill me just now? Why did I run? What did I come here for? The long-haired man realized that his thoughts were in a mess, as though his mind was being corroded. He subconsciously activated his immortal power to stabilize his state of mind. However, at this time, a sharp sword suddenly pierced through his chest and spun quickly. The terrifying sword chi instantly tore his body apart. The long-haired man's body splattered in the sky, like a flower of flesh. His soul leaked out. Su Yun opened his mouth again and swallowed it. When the two immortals who were escorting Shangguan Qingqing saw this scene, they were stunned speechless. This was the first time they saw an immortal being killed, and the first time they saw an immortal being killed so easily. This scene was simply too shocking, crazily attacking their inherent thinking. Everyone's brain almost stopped thinking. Even if this matter was spread out, no one would believe it. This person either had the means of a peak spirit profound immortal, or he had surpassed immortals and entered that realm. But even in the immortal world, they had never heard of such a powerful person. Furthermore, the other party was using devil chi. He was clearly a devil cultivator. Rumor has it that the true devil realm has already been unified, and the true devil realm lord has been born. Could it be this person? The silver-armored 7 female disciples said with a trembling voice. I'm afraid so. Otherwise, ordinary devil cultivator would not be able to kill immortals. The silver-armored man said blankly. As the sound of his voice faded, the two's hearts inexplicably tightened. Because they realized that Su Yun had already turned around and was looking at them with blood-red eyes. The two of them immediately became nervous and gathered together, guarding against Su Yun. However, their bodies were already trembling uncontrollably. If Su Yun really wanted to kill them, with his methods just now, the two of them would not even have the chance to retaliate. Su Yun, don't be rash. These two are here to save Qing'er. Shangguan Qingqing felt that something was wrong and immediately explained. Don't worry, I haven't lost my mind yet. I know who my enemies are and who my friends are, Su Yun said in a low voice. His voice was extremely gloomy. He turned around and rushed towards Empress Dowager Lu. Empress Dowager Lu no longer dared to run. It was useless to run. She could only hold onto the golden staff tightly and stay in place. Although she tried her best to maintain her emotions, the fear in the depths of her eyes could not be hidden. You are Empress Dowager Lu? Su Yun asked indifferently. That's right. Empress Dowager Lu took a deep breath and asked, Who are you? Who I am has nothing to do with you. I just want to ask you, do you want to live? If you want to threaten me, then give up. Everyone will die. Although I don't want to die, that doesn't mean that I'm afraid of death. Empress Dowager Lu said in a low voice. Very well, you're not afraid of death. Then let me ask you, are the people of the kingdom of Ziyu afraid of death? Hearing that, Empress Dowager Lu suddenly raised her head and glared at Su Yun. What do you mean by that? Why is Empress Dowager Lu pretending to be confused? I don't believe that a small kingdom of Ziyu can have the power of an immortal, Su Yun said indifferently. Su Yun wanted to use the lives of everyone in the kingdom of Ziyu to threaten the Empress Dowager Lu. If the Empress Dowager Lu did not comply, then the next person to die might not be the immortals, but the countless number of people in the country. She did not doubt Su Yun's methods. Killing immortals like slaughtering pigs and dogs was definitely something he could do. What exactly do you want? Empress Dowager Lu secretly gritted her teeth and said in a low voice. Who are these two immortals in the immortal world? Why are you asking this? I'm the one asking you now. Heaven-knocking pavilion. Heaven-knocking pavilion? The power of the immortal world? Yes. How is it compared to the immortal seeking sect? I don't know much about the powers in the immortal world, so I'm not sure. I only know that the immortals of the kingdom of ZU and the immortals of the heaven-knocking pavilion have some connections, and their relationship is not shallow. Why do you want to capture Qing? Su Yun moved his head closer and suddenly asked in a low voice. Hearing that, Empress Dowager Lu opened her mouth, not knowing how to reply. However, Su Yun knew everything. He thought for a moment, then said indifferently, Immediately report to the people of the heaven-knocking pavilion, just say that you brought people to the ultimate martial world to capture them, but were accidentally ambushed by the people of the immortal seeking sect, and these two were killed by the people of the immortal seeking sect. Do you understand? Empress Dowager Lu was not an idiot. Hearing this, she immediately understood Su Yun's intentions. Don't tell me you want to start a war between the two powers? You can only choose to do it. Otherwise, your kingdom of ZU will be buried together with you. Not only that, you can't stop all of this because even if you don't do it, I have a way for others to do it. Su Yun said. Hearing that, Empress Dowager Lu did not say a word. The chaotic and berserk devil qi continuously stirred up her body, stimulating her heart and liver, making it difficult for her to maintain a calm mind. Hesitation and fear attacked her heart. You don't have to worry, the immortal seeking sect is just a half-immortal sect, and is far from being a match for a pure cultivation sect like the heaven-knocking pavilion. Even if you say it, it doesn't matter. Furthermore, if you report it, it will be a great contribution, because you have given the heaven-knocking pavilion an excuse, allowing them to openly find trouble with the immortal seeking sect, and obtain benefits from them. Do you understand? I know what to do. In the end, Empress Dowager Lu could not take it anymore and compromised in a low voice. Very good. Su Yun nodded his head. He did not want to be entangled with her anymore. He turned and flew out of the city. Empress Dowager Lu's cultivation was not high, so killing her was useless. If he could use her mouth to shift all the blame onto the immortal seeking sect, it would definitely be an extremely good thing for the true devil sect. With the heaven-knocking pavilion taking action, the pressure on the immortal seeking sect would definitely not be small, and from there, the pressure on the true devil sect would lessen, and the true devil sect would have a chance. It was just that regardless of whether it was the immortal seeking sect or the heaven-knocking pavilion, Su Yun did not understand either of them. He did not even know if the immortal seeking sect was stronger or the heaven-knocking pavilion was stronger. After the matter was settled, Su Yun did not care about Shangguan Qingqing and immediately flew out. From the looks of it, he was going to look for Qinger. Seeing that, Shangguan Qingqing did not waste any time and immediately followed. The silver-armored man and woman were here to protect her, so they did not say much. Empress Dowager Lu was let go just like that. Su Yun did not plan to feed her any pills to threaten her life. He could tell that this person was not afraid of death. She had some backbone. What she was afraid of was the destruction of the ZU immortal country, so as long as the immortal country was still there was nothing to worry about. Su Yun had to leave quickly. The devil soul could only last for 6 hours. If he stayed for too long, a change would occur, and once the devil soul disappeared, it would not be good. Once the devil soul was used, Su Yun would not be able to use it again for 20 hours, and all the devil power and profound technique in his body would be weakened to a certain extent. After the devil soul in his body released its power, It would directly choose to absorb it from the spirit core in Su Yun's body, and the time would be 20 hours. After flying out of Fanghua City, he once again bumped into Su Qing'er, Shangguan Meiyang and the rest. Su Yun was startled. He realized that the two girls had not left at all. They had been waiting here all along. Chapter 892. What's going on? Su Yun roared, his gaze sweeping across the Blood Demon Guards. The Blood Demon Guards all lowered their heads and knelt down on one knee. They cupped their fists and said, "We are guilty, please punish us, Lord Devil Lord. When we return to the true Devil sect, all of you will go to the punishment demon to receive your punishment." Su Yun shouted coldly. Su Qing'er and Shangguan Meiyang, who were still in a daze, finally regained their senses. Hearing that, the two girls immediately called out, "Don't punish them, we are the ones who are unwilling to leave. Why aren't you leaving?" Su Yun stared at the two girls seriously. "If young master doesn't leave, how could Qing'er leave?" Su Qing'er said in a weak voice. "You." Sigh. Su Yun sighed, feeling helpless. However, seeing that young master is safe and sound, Qing'er is relieved. Su Qing'er let out a light breath. Her words were filled with tenderness. She walked a few steps towards Su Yun, but her delicate body staggered, and almost fell to the ground. Seeing that, Su Yun became anxious, and rushed over to support her. After roughly inspecting Qing'er's body, he discovered that her body was extremely complicated. There was almost no profound qi in her body, but it was filled with another huge force. "Qing'er, what's going on?" Su Yun's eyes were wide open. He was shocked. "Qing'er has the body of a god, and has received the good fortune of heaven and earth. I originally wanted to properly nurture her, so I brought her to my senior sister's side, which is also the kingdom of Ziyu. Unexpectedly, there were many accidents, and there were many accidents." Shangguan Meiyang sighed, and explained the whole story. "The power of your kingdom of Ziyu's ancestors?" Su Yun frowned. "Could it be that these are the reasons why Qing'er has become like this?" "Yes, but these are not bad things. As long as Qing'er cultivates her own temperament and completely comprehends and grasps this power, her realm will be able to advance by leaps and bounds." Shangguan Meiyang said. Before the potential of the god spirit body was completely unearthed, Qing'er's cultivation speed still surpassed everyone else's, but not only did the god spirit body bring her an extremely fast cultivation speed and unparalleled talent, it also brought her endless killing intent. Today's matter was caused by the exposure of the god spirit body. "We must kill everyone who knows about this," Su Yun said. "Otherwise, if this matter were to be leaked out, forget about Qing'er's life, I'm afraid it will lead to even more serious consequences." "Not bad. That Empress Dowager Lu also knows about this. Once this is over, I will wipe her out." Su Yun took a deep breath. A ruthless light flashed past his eyes. Hearing that, Shangguan Meiyang was stunned, her face filled with complexity and helplessness. "Empress Dowager Lu is my senior sister's grandmother. If you do this, she will definitely be very sad, but on one side is her disciple, and on the other side is my senior sister. It's really difficult. You don't have to feel troubled. You just need to do what you can and have a clear conscience. Why bother about other things? What a clear conscience, but you, Su Yun, don't seem to have the qualifications to say that, right?" At this time, Shangguan Qingqing and the two immortals flew over. "Mother!" Shangguan Meiyang rejoiced. "Younger!" Shangguan Qingqing rushed over, and the mother and daughter hugged each other. Su Yun turned his head and looked at Shangguan Qingqing, and said indifferently, "Palace Mistress Shangguan, what do you mean by that?" Shangguan Qingqing wiped the tears from the corner of her daughter's eyes, then turned and looked at Su Yun. "Su Yun, since you have been bewitched, you must have given up on everything. I have heard what you said just now. Are you planning to use Empress Dowager Lu and then kill her? If that's the case, how can you talk about having a clear conscience?" I'm afraid Palace Mistress Shangguan misunderstood, right? Su Yun said indifferently. What I mean by having a clear conscience is not to the world, but to myself. To myself? That's right, to myself. I, Su Yun, am not a saint. I do not seek for good results. I only wish for my family and friends to be safe. Other than that, I do not wish for anything else. Su Yun said indifferently. This is not called having a clear conscience, this is called being selfish. Are there not many selfish people in this world? But you can't be like this? Everyone walks a different path. You should not force others to walk the path you want to walk. Su Yun took a deep breath and said with his eyes closed. Shangguan Qingqing was speechless. She could not find any words to refute. She didn't know if she was thinking too simply, or if reality was as it should be. All right, let's not talk about this anymore. We should hurry up and treat Qing Er's injuries. Qing Er's current condition is not looking good. He needs to recuperate early and control the energy in his body. Shangguan Mei Yang immediately said. Hearing that, Su Yun turned and looked at Shangguan Mei Yang, his tensed handsome face relaxing for a long time. For Qing Er to have a master like you to guide him, I am very relieved. Miss Shangguan, I owe you a favor. He spoke very solemnly and seriously. Being stared at like that, Shangguan Mei Yang's pale face couldn't help but turn red. The current Su Yun was much gentler than before. Thinking about how angry he was, Shangguan Mei Yang felt a wave of lingering fear. She was still not used to such a huge change in a person. I will immediately bring Qing Er back to the True Devil sect. The facilities in the True Devil sect are not bad. It should be more than enough to treat her injuries. No way. Just as Su Yun finished speaking, Shangguan Qingqing immediately rejected him. Qing Er cannot go to the True Devil sect. Why? The True Devil sect is the land of the devil cultivator after all. The devil Qi is violent and difficult to calm down. Qing Er is currently cultivating the state of mind, but her state of mind is too weak, and is unable to withstand the power bestowed by the ancestors of the ZU immortal country, so she is easily controlled by this power, and the Qi and environment there are not suitable for recuperation. Then what does Palace Master Shangguan mean? Follow me to the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace to cultivate. Divine Cloud Immortal Palace. Su Yun frowned. He looked at the two of them and said, Palace Master Shangguan, it is not that I do not trust you, but if something like this happens again, I am afraid that the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace will not be able to protect Qing Er, so you don't have to worry about that. Shangguan Qingqing pointed to the silver-armored man and silver-armored woman behind him and said, These two immortals will stay in the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace for this period of time. With them here, it won't be too difficult to protect me. Su Yun turned to look, only to discover that the silver-armored man and woman's faces were actually filled with joy, as though they were very concerned about Shangguan Qingqing's words just now. Madam, I only left the two of you in the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace to protect my grand disciple, there is no other meaning. This is just a request, you can refuse, don't think too much about it. Shangguan Qingqing said indifferently. Understood. Understood. This subordinate understands. The silver-armored man immediately said, as though he was afraid that if he said it any later, Shangguan Qingqing would not agree. Seeing that, Su Yun started to ponder and quickly asked, Who exactly are you people? We are. All right, prepare to return to the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace. Without waiting for the two of them to answer Su Yun's question, Shangguan Qingqing immediately interrupted them. Su Yun turned his head to look at her, only to see that her expression did not change, and said indifferently, Su Yun, it's useless for you to ask all this now, and it's not beneficial to you or Qing Er, so it's better not to ask any more. Since Shangguan Qingqing had already said it like that, Su Yun did not pursue the matter. He looked at Qing Er, his mind once again thinking about the matter of Sword Ancestor and the real Devil sect, and his heart became a mess. With the current situation of the true devil sect, it was indeed not suitable for Qing'er to recuperate. If something were to happen to the true devil sect, Qing'er would fall into a pit of fire. Qing'er, follow Miss Shangguan back to the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace and recuperate well. When young master is done with the matters outside, I will come and pick you up, okay? Su Yun said gently to Su Qing'er. Su Qing'er opened her weak eyes, looked at Su Yun gently, and obediently nodded her head. She tried her best to hide the reluctance in the depths of her eyes, but it was to no avail. In fact, Su Yun was also reluctant to part with Qing'er, but this was reality. There were still so many things that had not been resolved, and now was not the time to live a peaceful life. Miss Shangguan, you are willing to do so much for Qing'er, I trust you. If you encounter anything that you cannot solve, you can immediately send someone to the true devil sect to find me. Su Yun said. All right. Shangguan Mei Yang nodded. I won't say much. I still have matters to attend to. Goodbye. Su Yun cupped his fists and was about to fly away, but the direction he was flying in was not the direction of the true devil sect, but the direction of the kingdom of Ziyu. Wait. Just at this moment, Shangguan Mei Yang suddenly shouted out. Su Yun turned in the air and looked at Shangguan Mei Yang. Is there anything else, Miss Shangguan? Su Yun asked. Su Yun, where are you going? Kingdom of Ziyu. What are you going there for? I'm going to take care of some simple matters. Are you going to kill someone? No. Hearing that, Shangguan Mei Yang heaved a sigh of relief. If it's not killing people, that would be for the best. Su Yun, can I ask of you something? You saved Qing'er. I won't refuse anything that I can do. Thank you, but it's actually not that difficult. For you, it's easy. If you enter the immortal country, I hope that you can save my senior sister, Sun Xiangyan. This time, Qing'er and I were able to escape, and it was all thanks to her that Qing'er was able to escape. Qing'er's body was corroded by the energy, and she secretly helped him. Su Yun thought for a while, then nodded. Sun Xiangyan? I'll remember it. Don't worry, if she's still in the kingdom of Ziyu, I'll definitely keep her safe. With that, he turned and flew into the sky. Shangguan Qingqing and her daughter watched as Su Yun and the blood demon guards left, unable to retract their eyes for a long time. Not simple. After a long while, Shangguan Qingqing sighed. Mother, what's not simple? Shangguan Mei Yang asked in confusion. I mean, this Su Yun is not simple, that's true. Shangguan Mei Yang said somewhat bitterly. The current him can even kill immortals. Back then, he wasn't even my match. I didn't expect that after not seeing him for a long time, he would already be a heaven and earth. Strength cannot measure everything. Don't take it to heart. Furthermore, you weren't his match back then, let alone today. Shangguan Qingqing shook her head and said indifferently, the reason I said he is not simple is not because of his strength, then what is it? Potential. Shangguan Qingqing spat out 2 words. Chapter 893. Send someone back immediately and report what happened in Fanghua City to the vice-sect leader. Tell him not to act rashly for the time being, and only to defend. Don't contact the kingdom of Ziyu for the time being. There may be changes in the immortal seeking sect, and we can get reinforcement. In addition, all the news here is blocked. Send 2 people to capture the Fanghua City Lord. I'm worried that he knows something. Su Yun said to the blood demon guard beside him as he rushed towards the kingdom of Ziyu. Understood. The demon blood guards cupped their fists, and Xian immediately took action. Su Yun led the remaining demon blood guards and rushed to Purple Moon Immortal Island. As they approached the island, they cast spells to shield themselves from the demonic qi and charged straight toward the China Island. Empress Dowager Lu had just returned to the Immortal Island Palace, and before she could recover from her shock, Su Yun barged into the palace again. The guards in the palace were shocked and immediately closed in. However, Empress Dowager Lu knew his strength and did not dare to fight against him. She immediately waved her soldiers and stared at Su Yun. What else do you want to do? This person had just let her go, and now he was here again. Could it be that he was going back on his word? Nothing much. Immediately report this matter to the heaven-knocking pavilion. I want to personally see you negotiate with them, Su Yun said calmly. Hearing that, Empress Dowager Lu immediately understood what Su Yun meant. He was worried that she would betray him and tell the truth to the heaven-knocking pavilion. It was understandable to have such concerns. After all, it was the first time Empress Dowager Lu and Su Yun had met. Both parties did not understand each other. I'll immediately send a message to the heaven-knocking pavilion. 2 immortals died in this plane. They will definitely be shocked. They definitely won't sit idly by. I believe they will send people over in less than half a day. Queen Dowager Lu said in a low voice. Half a day? These immortals came from the immortal world to the ultimate martial world so quickly? Su Yun thought for a moment, then nodded. All right, if you do this well, I will not find trouble with your ZU immortal kingdom. I hope you can keep your word. Empress Dowager Lu's voice sounded weak. In reality, she really wanted to tell the truth to the heaven-knocking pavilion, but even if she told the truth, so what? The result was that the entire ZU immortal kingdom no longer existed, and even a few of the people from the heaven-knocking pavilion had fallen. Su Yun's strength that could completely suppress immortals had long left a shadow in her heart, and it was impossible to subdue such a person easily. Even the heaven-knocking pavilion would have to pay a painful price to take revenge. Since that was the case, he could only swallow his anger. As the ruler of the kingdom of Purple Moon, Empress Dowager Lu naturally had some magnanimity. Also, I heard that you have a granddaughter called Sun Xiangyan, right? Su Yun continued. Not bad. Where is she? Why do you ask? You have a lot of questions. Empress Dowager Lu's expression revealed a trace of anger, but she did not dare disobey Su Yun's orders and said softly, She betrayed my Sun family and is now under house arrest. Let her out, Su Yun said calmly. Empress Dowager Lu stared at him. But soon, she thought it through. This person was from Shangguan Meiyang's side. Sun Xiangyan had been captured by him for the sake of Shangguan Meiyang and Su Qinger, so he naturally wanted to save her. In fact, Su Yun also felt that he was being a little unnecessary. Sun Xiangyan was only under house arrest. She was the granddaughter of Empress Dowager Lu after all. How could he kill her so easily? However, this was Shangguan Meiyang's request. In order to repay her for saving Su Qinger, Su Yun could not care less. I will stay in the ultimate martial world for a while. Guard leader. This subordinate is here. The Blood Demon Guard leader immediately stepped forward. I'll leave the matters here to you. Su Yun said indifferently. Yes. Yes. Su Yun nodded, then turned and left. If she wanted to keep a lookout, it would naturally be better to set it up in the dark. However, Empress Dowager Lu was not a fool. She would naturally be on guard. Since that was the case, it would be more appropriate to put it out in the open. After Su Yun left the palace, he left all of the demon blood guards behind. He was going to take care of private matters, so it was inconvenient to bring these people along. Furthermore, he needed more people to take care of the Purple Moon Immortal Island. Above the clouds, jade buildings stood tall, and eagles with golden feathers circled around these dazzling palaces. In the center of these buildings stood a gigantic golden dragon. However, this was nothing more than a golden eagle dragon, not a living creature. Just how enormous was a golden eagle dragon? It was tens of thousands of zhang in length. It was like the Lord of the Sky, circling above the clouds. The buildings were centered around it, and from the distance, it was a magnificent sight. This was the Martial Imperial Palace, the place where the Supreme Martial Emperor resided. At this moment, outside the Martial Imperial Palace, nearly 100 figures had already quietly approached. These people stood in the clouds and gathered for a moment before one of them flew out and rushed towards the golden dragon. Inside the martial imperial palace, in a special prison cell, opened the prison door. Shin Shueshua's face was haggard. She walked to the front of the prison head and said, "Ah, miss." When the prison head who was meditating saw the person, he immediately jumped up and bowed to Shin Shueshua. "Greetings, Mississippi." "Don't be so polite. Quickly open the prison door. I want to see my daughter." Shin Shueshua's voice was filled with anxiety. "This. Miss, that bastard. Ugh. That is a prisoner personally captured by the hall master. Without his order, this lowly one does not dare to casually open the prison door." The prison head was in a dilemma. But in the next second, Shin Shueshua took out a golden order badge with a golden dragon carved on it, and said, "No one will blame you, just open the prison door." When the head of the prison saw this, he was shocked. This is the hall master's order badge. He has already allowed me to visit, so you don't have to worry about anything. Hurry up and open the door, don't make me wait too long." Shin Shueshua was already quite impatient. Her tone had also become somewhat heavy. The head of the prison trembled. He did not dare to be negligent. He quickly stood up and took out his key, hurriedly opened the prison door, removed the seal, and let Shin Shueshua in. When the prison door opened, Shin Shueshua anxiously ran inside. This was the Martial Imperial Palace's prison, the largest and most tightly guarded prison in the Martial Imperial Palace. It had the shape of a steeple, and from the bottom to the top, one had to pass through 100 levels of prison doors. Each level of prison door was guarded by a powerful prison head, and it was not easy to pass through these prison doors. The reason why the prison heads were so polite was because Shin Shueshua was Shin Wu Huang's daughter. If it was anyone else who came here to behave atrociously, they would have been thrown out by the prison heads long ago. Shin Shueshua persevered, taking the order badge and climbing from the first floor to the top. This was not the first time she had come here. The prison heads all knew why she had come here. Not to mention this, Shin Shueshua had even come here a few times before, but was pulled away by Su Shintian, and this time, she actually came here with Shen Wu Huang's order badge, which was truly shocking. With Shen Wu Huang's order badge here, it was equivalent to Shen Wu Huang himself being here. Who would dare to stop him? Kacha. The last cell door was pushed open. Shin Shueshua's anxious expression became even more serious. She opened her eyes wide and looked inside the cell door. Golden light flashed inside, and a huge prison cell appeared in her line of sight. The light was coming from this prison cell. Shin Shueshua was like a magnet, attracted by the cell. He quickly walked over, but just as he got close, he saw a golden lightning flash past in front of him, and with a sizzling sound, he was bounced back. Looking over, there was a layer of golden spirit formation at the front of the prison. This barrier was incomparably thick, like a tidal wave. It was vast and powerful and extremely terrifying. When Shin Shueshua touched it, he immediately knew that this was a barrier that Shen Wu Huang had personally set up. How powerful was Shen Wu Huang's strength? Even the head of the prison could not open this barrier. Since she was unable to break through the barrier, Shin Shueshua knew that she had reached the end. She did not try to forcefully break through the barrier, but ran to the center of the barrier, facing the prison from here. He could still see the situation inside the prison. Luluo. Luluo. Mother is here, Luluo. Are you all right? Shin Shueshua lied on the barrier and shouted anxiously. However, the young girl who was bound by a few golden chains did not care at all. She quietly sat on the ground, her golden eyes quietly looking forward. It was as if she did not hear the shouts of the people outside. Shin Shueshua called out for a long time, but he still could not get even a single glance from Su Luluo, and immediately felt extremely disappointed. Su Luluo was completely trapped in the prison. This was a prison that Shen Wu Huang had personally designed and built. Even she could not escape easily, But she could not escape, so Shen Wu Huang could not do anything to her, not to mention removing her memories, allowing her to completely escape from the sea of suffering in Supreme Sect. Actually, from the very beginning, Shen Xuexue, Su Shintian and even Na Zizai were too naive. Removing a person's memories was not a simple matter, especially for someone with a strong cultivation like Su Luluo. Her willpower was especially firm. Shen Wu Huang had already used 17 methods that could erase a person's memories forever, but to Su Luluo, all of these methods were useless. In the end, she was the holy maiden of the Supreme Sect, and was not an ordinary disciple of the Supreme Sect. In the entire Supreme Sect, the only person who could compare to her in terms of limitless profound Qi was the Imperial Guard. Luluo. Mother knows that you have suffered a lot over the years and suffered a lot, but Mother has no choice but to do so. Mother has not come here today to beg for your forgiveness. Mother only hopes that you can escape the torment of the Supreme Sect, escape the sea of bitterness, be a new person, and live a new life that belongs to you. Regardless of whether your cultivation is strong or weak, Mother does not care. Luluo. Look at Mother, Mother begs you to look at me. Shen Xuexue called out weakly. Su Luluo's emotionless eyes were like two sharp knives that pierced into her heart. Chapter 894. Shen Xuexue was still crying out in grief, but Su Luluo was right in front of her, and there seemed to be a ravine that could never be crossed between the two of them. Shen Xuexue's voice could not enter Su Luluo's ears at all. From start to finish, she did not care about the heartbroken woman outside the prison, as though nothing existed outside. Luluo, are you really that heartless? Seeing that her daughter was still indifferent, Shen Xuexue felt that her heart was about to break. She really did not understand that the so-called Supreme Divine Tao actually had such a powerful magical power to be able to make a person completely lose their family, or even their feelings, and completely serve that so-called Tao. Shen Xuexue felt completely hopeless. At this moment, she did not know what words to use to persuade her daughter. Actually, she did not blame Su Luluo at all, and did not even dare to blame him. The reason why Su Luluo became like this today was because of her, and when she thought about her daughter, her heart ached. You can go. Staying here will only waste your time and disturb my peace. Just at this moment, a clear voice rang out from the prison. Shen Xuexue suddenly raised her head and looked at Su Luluo in shock. She thought that she had heard wrongly. Luluo, you're finally willing to talk to Mother. I am the Holy Maiden of the Supreme Sect, created by the Holy Lord. I am not the son of a filthy person like you, so you don't have to waste your breath. Without waiting for Shen Xuexue to speak, Su Luluo interrupted her and said. Although she said it lightly, Shen Xuexue heard it with incomparable heaviness and pain. Filthy person. In her eyes, she was actually a filthy person. The current Su Luluo did not even recognize her as his mother. Shen Xuexue stared blankly at the young lady inside, and after a long while, he revealed a bitter expression. Luluo, it's fine if you don't recognize me as your mother. If it wasn't for Mother not protecting you back then, you wouldn't have become like this. All the mistakes are Mother's fault. Mother has let you down. Mother will think of a way to make up for it. Luluo, just suffer a little more. Mother will quickly save you from Supreme Sect, and let you experience the happiness of this world, and not just become a walking corpse. Su Luluo turned her head and continued to look forward, as though she was in a daze, but also as though she was cultivating cross-legged, but what she knew was that she did not want to continue paying attention to the crazy woman outside the prison. As for what she said, perhaps it went in one ear and out the other. Shen Xuexue looked at Su Luluo deeply, and after half an incense stick of time, he sighed and reluctantly left. The pagoda-like prison finally regained its peace. However, the tranquility of the martial imperial palace was unknowingly broken. In the main hall below the Golden Dragon's head, Shen Wu Huang and the higher-ups of the martial imperial palace were already waiting inside. Outside the hall, a man wearing a white loose robe was walking in with an ethereal immortal aura. The man had a handsome face, a tall stature and a deep sword eyes. His temperament was extraordinary, and his eyes revealed a sense of arrogance. It was a natural and aloof arrogance that would not make people feel disgusted, but would instead make many people feel ashamed of themselves. He walked straight into the main hall. He did not wait for anyone to call him, nor did he greet them. He walked in as if there was no one else around. However, no one was angry at him. Instead, they felt that it was natural for him to walk straight in. Is this the martial imperial palace? It can be considered quite impressive. The man walked in, casually glanced at the surrounding buildings, and spoke indifferently. As for the people in the hall, it was as if he could not see them. An immortal has descended upon my martial imperial palace. I wonder what advice you have for me? Shen Wu Huang stared at the person, his eyes burning with anger as he bellowed. He was already very angry in his heart, but he tried his best to suppress it. Before he could figure out this fellow's origins, he would not casually vent his anger. Who are you? The immortal raised his eyebrows and said indifferently. How dare you? How dare you be so rude to the martial emperor? Don't think that just because you are an immortal, you can ignore the laws and break the rules of the martial imperial palace. If you are so arrogant, we will definitely not let you have a good time. A higher-up of the martial imperial palace shouted angrily. The immortal glanced at the man from the corner of his eyes, but did not care. I am Shen Wu Huang. Shen Wu Huang, who was above, spoke in a low voice. A tyrannical aura erupted from his body, instantly enveloping the entire palace. In that moment, the people who were enveloped by the aura all knelt down without any resistance, and bowed towards Shen Wu Huang. Good aura, good strength. The immortal opened his mouth, full of praise, but he did not move at all. He did not bow down to Shen Wu Huang like the people in the hall. It was obvious that he was not affected by the aura. You have yet to reveal your identity. If you have nothing else to do in my martial imperial palace, then please go back. My martial imperial palace is a small shop and cannot entertain immortals. Shen Wu Huang spoke in a deep voice. His words did not hold back at all. When the immortal heard this, he lightly shook his head. I won't be able to leave for the time being. Can't leave? Then what do you want? Of course it's to finish what I have to do, the immortal said indifferently. We are from the immortal seeking sect. Our purpose for coming here is very simple. It is for the supreme sect. Immortal seeking sect? Supreme sect. A hint of astonishment flashed across Shen Wu Huang's eyes. What did the Supreme Sect do? The Supreme Sect has already been destroyed. Why does the martial emperor want to pretend to be confused? The man said indifferently. The Supreme Sect was destroyed? That would be a good thing for all the worlds in the world, but whether or not the Supreme Sect is destroyed, it doesn't seem to have anything to do with the martial imperial palace. Right? Shen Wu Huang said. How can it not matter? The man said in a low voice. We did not come to the martial imperial palace this time for many reasons. There is only one, and that is to find the holy maiden of the Supreme Sect, and for her to lead the remaining disciples of the Supreme Sect, revive the flag, and restore the Supreme Sect. Do you understand? Restore the Supreme Sect? Shen Wu Huang's heart skipped a beat. I won't say much about other things. You guys might not understand even if I did. Alright, cut the crap, Lord Martial Emperor. Please quickly send someone to bring the Holy Maiden over and hand her over to us. The man said indifferently. What is it? Do you still want the Supreme Sect to reappear in the human world and continue to harm the human world? Anger floated on Shen Wu Huang's face. From Lord Martial Emperor's tone, you don't seem to be too happy? The man raised his eyebrows, his voice clearly displeased. Everyone was infuriated. This person was too arrogant. Your whatever supreme sex holy maiden is this old man's granddaughter. You came here to ask for her, and with such an attitude, have you ever placed this old man in your eyes? Shen Wu Huang was also a person with a bad temper. He secretly snorted, not giving any face at all. He immediately waved his hand and shouted, "I have finished speaking, men, send the guest off." When everyone heard this, they immediately rushed over. They had long since disliked this guy, and now that Shen Wu Huang had spoken, they naturally could not wait to send this guy away. "Let's go. You are not welcome here. Please." The man let out a light sigh, then said, "Lord Martial Emperor, there is one thing you seem to be mistaken about. Today, I am not here as a guest, nor am I considered a guest." Shen Wu Huang's heart tightened, his heart skipped a beat, vaguely, he felt something. "Then what are you?" However, the corner of the man's mouth raised into an evil smile. "Enemy!" As soon as his voice fell, 6 halos of light suddenly appeared around his body. When the halos of light appeared, immortal qi erupted and engulfed the experts of the martial imperial palace around him. "Be careful!" Shen Wu Huang suddenly stood up, with a loud roar. He rushed towards the man. No one expected that this fellow would actually make a move in the martial imperial palace, and without any warning, he directly attacked. When the immortal qi dissipated, everyone looked up to see that the people who were engulfed by the immortal qi had already turned into pure white skeletons. Their bodies were gone, their souls were gone, and they were completely dead. Moreover, every single one of them was instantly killed. These Spirit Emperor, they were all killed in an instant. What level of existence was this person at? Spirit profound immortal. Shen Wu Huang released an angry roar, and directly slapped towards the man. His entire body released a golden light as he charged forward like a god of war. The terrifying domineering aura caused all the surrounding buildings to shatter, and the higher-ups of the martial imperial palace were all sent flying. "Good fighting spirit!" the immortal bellowed. His hands quickly flipped, and immortal qi surged out from his palms like a wave, but when he slapped towards Shen Wu Huang, the immortal qi immediately struck out, like 10,000 tigers pouncing at the same time. Its aura was astonishing. Pa! 4 palms collided. The power of the two was like a bull clashing, producing a loud sound. The whirlwind spread out in all directions, and the two of them were also sent flying by the other party's power. That person's body was slightly bullied, and he retreated 100 meters. Shen Wu Huang was not in a good state either. His face suddenly paled, and the qi in his body started to fluctuate crazily. Peak Spirit Sage against Spirit Profound Immortal. This is a battle with a huge disparity in strength. If not for your profound qi being special and being able to contend against immortal qi, I'm afraid you would have long since become a pile of bones. The man said with a smile. Good. Good. The current immortal world is amazing. Any immortal dares to behave atrociously in my martial imperial palace. Very good. Shen Wu Huang was not afraid, on the contrary. His anger soared to the sky. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit. With a loud shout, he rushed towards the man again. Today, I will slay the immortals and let the people of the immortal world see the strength of my martial imperial palace. As soon as he said that, his arms shook violently. Faintly, 2 golden dragons circled around his thick arms. With an insufferably arrogant aura, he ruthlessly crushed towards the immortal. I have always heard that Shen Wu Huang is extremely arrogant, and dares to go against the people of the world. Today, seeing your arrogance, I admire you, but under the orders of the sect master, I must bring away the supreme holy maiden. Since you do not obey today, then I can only forcefully take her away. The man was not in a hurry to fight with Shen Wu Huang. Instead, he took a few steps back and casually waved his hand in the air. Seeing that, Shen Wu Huang's face changed. Was this a signal? Chapter 895. Shin Shueshua walked out of the tower with a disappointed expression on her face. Every day, she would think of a way to enter the tower and chat with Su Luluo. Although Su Luluo had always turned a blind eye to her, she persevered. In her heart, even if it was just a glance at her daughter every day, she would be very satisfied. After exiting the tower, Shin Shueshua looked at the martial emperor's badge in his hand, sighed lightly, and walked straight towards Shen Wu Huang's cultivation ground. It's better to quickly return the order badge to its original place. If Royal Father finds out that I stole the martial emperor's badge without permission, that would be terrible. She muttered. Dong! At this moment, an earth-shattering sound suddenly came out from under the golden dragon's head, followed by a few rays of light that shot into the sky. The peak of the sky exploded with a large amount of profound chi ripples. The smell of destruction mixed with the strong wind blew towards them. Shin Shueshua was startled. He anxiously looked towards the direction of the explosion, only to see his father fighting a life-and-death battle with someone. Both sides were fighting back and forth, their moves were thrown around randomly, and they were locked in a fierce battle. Who? To actually cause trouble in the martial imperial palace? Shin Shueshua almost couldn't believe his eyes. It wasn't until a strand of immortal chi floated over that she realized something was wrong. This is the aura of an immortal? Shin Shueshua was shocked, startled, and shocked. Could it be that an immortal had descended upon the martial imperial palace? Quick! Hurry up and help His Majesty eliminate that immortal. He dares to cause trouble in the martial imperial palace. We can't let him leave this time. A large number of experts from the martial imperial palace rushed over from all directions. Like a net, they surrounded the immortal. However, before these people could even get close to Shen Wu Huang and the immortal, their bodies were pierced through by the grayish-white beams of light that shot out from the surrounding space. Their souls instantly shattered and they died. Shin Shueshua was dumbstruck. These experts of the martial imperial palace were all existences at the peak of the spirit emperor. They were powerful and not something ordinary people could compare to, who could kill them in an instant. However, in the next second, she suddenly realized, immortal. A large number of immortals rushed out from the void. There were more than 100 of them. These immortals were attacking the martial imperial hall. They executed immortal arts, leveled the ground, burned the houses, and slaughtered the people. The originally resplendent martial imperial hall had turned into a living hell in the blink of an eye. How could this be? Shin Shueshua was stunned. So many immortals, who exactly did the martial imperial hall offend? It had attracted so many immortals. Today would probably be the doomsday of the martial imperial hall. At this moment, the three immortals suddenly rushed over. Shin Shueshua hurriedly ran to a statue at the side, shielded her aura, and hid. However, the three immortals were not aiming at her, but at the tower where Su Luluo was imprisoned. The three of them approached the tower and each of them released a surge of celestial chi. The celestial chi gathered into a sphere in front of them. Then, the three of them worked together and pushed the terrifying celestial sphere towards the tower. Hoo! The immortal chi rubbed against the airflow like a shooting star. Shin Shueshua's eyes widened, and her heart almost jumped out of her throat. The immortal's ball crashed into the tall tower and made a grunt sound. It did not destroy the tall tower. Instead, like a big snowball, it collapsed. Snow-white immortal chi quickly filled the entire tall tower. Then, the walls, aura, and enchantment of the tall tower shattered like glass. Clang! 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 Seeing this, she immediately understood that these people were deliberately trying to destroy the defense of the tower. But why did he want to destroy the defense? Could it be? Shin Shueshua suddenly thought of something, her heart beating wildly. She turned her head to look at the immortals, only to see them rushing into the tower that looked like it had been skinned, straight to the room at the top where Su Luluo was. Could it be? Are they here for Luluo? Not good. Luluo is in danger. She immediately stood up, and without any hesitation, she rushed straight towards the top of the tower. She had never thought that she would be facing 3 immortals. The entire martial imperial palace was in chaos because of the intrusion of the immortals. The people of the martial imperial palace were all people who refused to admit defeat, and even in the face of such an enemy, not many people retreated. The immortal who was fighting with Shen Wu Huang saw countless people coming from all directions, covering the sky and covering the earth. It was a spectacular sight. He had originally thought that with the 100 or so experts he had brought from the immortal seeking sect, it would be more than enough to deal with the martial imperial palace, but from the looks of it, it did not seem to be the case. Are you really going to bury your entire martial imperial palace for this one person, and choose to become enemies with the immortal seeking sect? The immortal forced Shen Wu Huang to retreat with one move. His face darkened, and asked, "If you want to fight, then fight. If you want us to submit, we would rather die than submit." Shen Wu Huang roared. He was overbearing and rushed forward again. "How arrogant! Do you really think I will be afraid of you?" The immortal no longer dodged and rushed forward, at the same time shouting, "Everyone, listen up! The martial imperial palace has already been viewed as a mortal enemy by the immortal seeking sect. All of you will massacre the martial imperial palace. No one will be let off. No one will be left in peace. Kill! Kill! Kill!" The roar reverberated back and forth in the sky, filled with terrifying killing intent and an ice-cold aura. It was as if this person had already announced the end of the martial imperial hall, and had already prepared a miserable path for them. He was like the master of the martial imperial hall, and he would do whatever he wanted here. Shen Wu Huang's anger had already been provoked to the maximum by the immortal. The muscles on his body swelled up, the blood vessels on his body almost popped out, the strength of his arms could easily shatter the continent. "You want to destroy my martial imperial palace. Let's see if you have the ability." Shen Wu Huang clenched his fists, and smashed down fiercely towards the immortal. The void completely shattered, and his hands instantly ignited with a terrifying and blazing flame. Dong! The immortal was caught off guard and was directly punched on the shoulder. With a "so" sound, he smashed into the ground, and with a loud rumble, the ground of the martial imperial palace trembled a bit, the surrounding clouds dispersed, and the man directly pierced through the ground. This punch had actually pierced through the ground. However, that person did not have much of a problem. His fingers trembled as he activated his immortal technique and shouted, "Immortal feather flowing light." Chirp, 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 chirp. The immortal chi in the air turned into pure white feathers, flying towards Shen Wu Huang like sharp thorns. These feathers seemed to be endless. They were everywhere, and every second there would be tens of thousands of feathers attacking. Shen Wu Huang bellowed. His entire body was enveloped in a layer of faint golden barrier. The feathers smashed onto the golden barrier, but were unable to break it. But maintaining the golden barrier consumed a lot of Shen Wu Huang's profound chi. This person was after all a spirit profound immortal, and Shen Wu Huang had not stepped into the spirit profound immortal realm, so there was still a difference in cultivation between the two of them. Challenging someone of a higher level was already an extremely difficult thing to do, let alone a spirit sage. Shen Wu Huang and this person were in a stalemate, and the various parts of the martial imperial palace were also in a mess. At the tower that had been skinned, the prison heads in the tower all flew out. Seeing the 3 immortals rushing towards them, none of the prison heads chose to escape, and continued to hold on to their posts. "Who are you people?" The prison head at the top shouted angrily. "Don't talk nonsense, follow the sect master's orders, take the holy maiden away. Quick!" "Yes, sir." The immortals whispered to each other, then 2 of them rushed towards the prison heads, while the remaining one directly charged towards the cell that Su Luluo was locked in. Clang! Just as the man approached the prison, he was blocked by the golden barrier under Shen Wu Huang. The immortal frowned, looking at the barrier in front of him. He took a light breath, gathered his immortal qi in his palm, and fiercely smashed towards it. Pow! The palm struck the barrier. The barrier shook a few times, the profound qi rippled on top of it, like a jade wave, but the barrier was not damaged in the slightest. The immortal snorted, as if he was displeased. Qi Bai, what are you still doing? Hurry up and break the prison, bring the holy maiden away. The person who was still fighting with the prison head turned his head and shouted. This barrier seems to have been personally set up by Shen Wu Huang. It is extraordinary. I'm afraid my immortal power won't be able to break it for a while. The immortal called Qi Bai turned his head and said, Zheng Hong, your rainbow immortal sword has the effect of devouring qi. Come over and break this barrier. When the immortal called Zheng Hong heard this, he turned his head and said to the other immortal, Can you take care of this place by yourself? A bunch of ants, it's extremely easy. The immortal snorted. All right. Zheng Hong nodded and flew towards the barrier. As he neared the barrier, his fingers moved slightly. With a wave of his hand, a ruthless light flashed and shrank in his palm. With a wave of his arm, the ruthless light fiercely smashed towards the barrier. Boom! The ruthless light tore through the barrier, releasing a loud sound. The profound strength on the barrier quickly collapsed. In the blink of an eye, it shattered, the power dissipating completely. Great! The rainbow immortal sword truly lives up to its name. The immortal praised. Zheng Hong ignored the immortal and turned her gaze towards the prison. From the dust that filled the sky, a tall and exquisite beautiful young lady slowly walked out. The young lady had fair skin, bright eyes, white teeth, long hair like ink, and wore a snow-white robe with a phoenix pattern on it. Her expression was indifferent as she slowly walked out. Although her bright eyes were looking forward, no one felt that she was looking at them. It was Su Luluo. Hee, our sect master made us go through so much trouble to come here, just to save this girl? The corner of the immortal's mouth raised in disdain. He flew over and stood in front of Su Luluo. He circled around Su Luluo, rubbed his chin and nodded. This girl is not bad, her talent is also very good. It's just that her cultivation is a little low. She's not as good as us spirit immortals, she's the most suitable for dual cultivation. Unexpectedly, when he said that, the person called Zheng Hong's face changed, and immediately shouted, Qi Bai, don't speak nonsense. What is it? Zheng Hong, are you afraid of this girl? Qi Bai smiled and turned his head, then said to Su Luluo, Little girl, come with us. However, what welcomed Qi Bai was not Su Luluo's answer, but a ball of terrifying limitless profound qi. This wave of profound qi instantly devoured Qi Bai with the force of a huge wave, and frantically and ferociously absorbed the immortal qi on his body. Qi Bai turned pale with fright, he fled in panic, but before he could take a few steps, he was enveloped by a strange aura, and his entire body was pulled backwards. He immediately activated his immortal qi to resist, but at this moment, he was shocked to discover that there was not much immortal qi left in his body. How could this be? Holy Maiden, please stop. Zheng Hong shouted anxiously. I need someone to replenish my strength right now. This person's immortal energy is pure, and is the most suitable candidate. Don't worry, I am not going to kill him, but to guide him onto the path of immortality. Su Luluo's eyes were completely white. He stared at the panicking and terrified Qi Bai who was floating in the air, and said indifferently. At first, Qi Bai was still struggling crazily, but his immortal power had been sucked dry by Su Luluo in an instant. He did not have much strength left, and it was impossible for him to escape Su Luluo's control. It had to be known that even Shen Wu Huang did not dare to casually approach Su Luluo. The limitless profound qi ignored all the profound qi and directly absorbed it. Even those with stronger cultivation than her were not spared. Not long after, all the immortal energy in Qi Bai's body was sucked dry, and Su Liulua's aura had also reached its peak. The current her seemed to be even stronger than when she first entered the martial imperial palace. She took a light breath, stared at Qi Bai who was in the air like a dead pig, and said indifferently, "All right now, I will send you to the supreme world." Don't. Let me go!" Qi Bai's entire body was trembling as he screamed crazily. However, Su Luluo could not hear his voice, and only saw her gently clench her delicate little hand, causing Qi Bai who was in the air to immediately explode into pieces of meat. Fresh blood and minced meat scattered in all directions like a blooming blood rose. Chapter 896. Jing Hong stared blankly at everything, her heart beating wildly. Su Luluo did not have the cultivation of spirit profound immortal, but she was able to easily kill immortals, all thanks to her terrifying and strange limitless profound qi. This kind of profound qi could easily cancel out the opponent's immortal qi, but Su Luluo had already trained the limitless profound qi to the extreme, and was even more able to absorb the opponent's profound qi for his own use. If the current Su Yun was here, he would definitely realize that Su Liulua's limitless profound qi was already similar to the divine power of the imperial battle robe. In this period of time, Su Luluo had been recovering and cultivating on her own. She did not give up on the path that she persevered in her heart. This was also the terror of the supreme divine Tao. Even if the supreme sect was destroyed, there were still many people who believed in it and persisted in walking this path. After Qi Bai died miserably, Su Luluo seemed to have recovered. She opened her eyes and looked at Jing Hong who was still in a daze, and asked indifferently, "Who are you?" Jing Hong came back to her senses and quickly knelt down on one knee. She said, "Your Highness, we are from the Immortal Seeking Sect. Today, we are specially ordered by the sect master to save the Holy Maiden in the martial imperial palace." At this moment, the immortal did not dare to be disrespectful to Su Luluo. "Save me? Immortal Seeking Sect?" Su Luluo said indifferently. "Why are you guys doing this?" "Sovereign hopes that the Holy Maiden can revive the Supreme Sect." At this time, the immortal flew back and bowed to Su Luluo. His entire body was covered in blood, and his immortal energy had yet to disperse. When he looked at the other side, there were already severed limbs scattered all over the ground. Those prison guards guarding the high tower, without exception, were all beheaded by this person. Revive the Supreme Sect? Su Luluo shook his head. Supreme Sect has always been here, what is there to talk about? However, I will return to the Immortal Seeking Sect with all of you. The sinners have already filled the entire world. I need to gather those who defend the supreme divine Tao and purify this world. The two immortals looked at each other, feeling that Su Luluo was crazy, but they did not dare refute him. Although Su Liulua's cultivation was not as high as theirs, she possessed the purest limitless profound qi, and they were afraid of her. Furthermore, this person was someone the sect master wanted to save, and could also be the future master of the Supreme Sect. How could they dare to be negligent? The Saintess is right. Let's leave. There will be someone else to take care of the martial imperial palace. Zheng Hong said. Su Luluo nodded his head, without saying a word. He turned and flew into the sky. The two of them followed behind. Luluo. Right at this moment, a sorrowful cry suddenly sounded. Are there any fish that escaped the net? Zheng Hong stopped and turned around to look in the direction of the voice. There was a figure standing at the foot of the tower. The figure's aura was weak, and he didn't care at all, so he didn't notice it. It was Shen Shueshue. She had been watching from the side and knew who she was facing, but in the end, she couldn't help but make a sound. She saw her own daughter leaving with these two people. How could she remain indifferent? She didn't want to lose her daughter again. She didn't want to part with her like this again. Isn't there anyone from the martial imperial palace who is a bit stronger? The people I meet are all so weak. This is really a place with an undeserved reputation. The celestial at the side shook his head and turned around, about to cast a spell to end this person. If an immortal attacked, Shin Shueshue would definitely die. Unexpectedly, the moment he activated his technique, Su Luluo spoke up. Stop. Why are you wasting your time on a foolish person? Keep her alive and purify her in the future. Xinghong and the other two looked at each other, feeling that it was inexplicable, but Su Luluo increased his speed and flew away. Seeing that, the two of them did not think too much and immediately followed. The three of them disappeared into the horizon just like that. Shin Shueshue stared blankly at the direction Su Luluo left in. She was dumbstruck. However, not long after, she clenched her teeth and suddenly stood up. She actually flew towards the sky and chased after Su Luluo. Ever since he came to the martial imperial palace, Su Shintian's days had not been good. At that time, he did not know that Shin Shueshue was the daughter of the famous Shen Wu Huang, but when he discovered it, it was already too late. Su Shintian never felt inferior, even if his own strength was not as good as Shen Wu Huang's. He did not care. He thought that as long as he did the right thing, he would be open and aboveboard. Even though he thought this way, he did not give up on cultivation. He also understood that in this world, if one did not have enough strength, no one would be able to protect them, let alone his wife and children. This time, for the sake of Su Luluo, Su Shintian also chose to stay in the martial imperial palace. However, he could not help much and could only cultivate every day. A large number of explosions outside the training grounds had already awakened Su Shintian from his deep thoughts. He anxiously walked out, only to see that the inside and outside of the martial imperial palace was in a mess. Countless people from the martial imperial palace were rushing towards the golden dragon, and at this moment, the gigantic golden dragon statue had long since cracked open, and terrifying explosions could be heard all around the dragon's body. What's going on? Su Shintian opened his eyes wide, almost not daring to look at this scene. Lord Su. At this moment, a voice came from the side. Su Shintian turned his head to look, only to see a young girl with a heroic aura standing there. The young girl held a sword in her hand and wore a Blade Master outfit. She was staring in the direction of the golden dragon. It's you, Lord Su. The martial imperial palace is currently being disturbed by the immortals. With the strength of the martial imperial palace, I'm afraid it will be very difficult to drive away these 100 immortals. Today is most likely the end of the martial imperial palace. As long as the martial emperor does not die, everything will not end. Don't worry, with me here, nothing will happen to the martial emperor, but the immortals have already been enraged. The martial imperial palace will not be able to protect itself anytime soon. Master Su, quickly bring Miss Shen and leave. I will go help the martial emperor and bring him away. After the young girl finished speaking, she leaped and rushed towards the golden dragon. Su Shintian's face was gloomy. He turned around and looked around. Very quickly, he saw a servant who was running away in panic, and immediately stopped him to ask, "Have you seen Madam? Your Miss Shen?" "Ah, Miss Shen." Miss Shen went to the Sky Prison. "Master, you should quickly escape. The immortals have attacked. Quickly escape." The servant shouted a few words in panic, then ignored Su Shintian and ran away while crawling. Immortals were high and mighty existences in their eyes, and now that there were over 100 of them coming in, it was natural for them to feel fear. These people were unreliable. Su Shintian secretly snorted, and headed straight towards the tower that Su Luluo was imprisoned in. He did not care about the life and death of the people of the martial imperial palace. He only cared about the safety of his wife and children. When he thought about how the immortals were causing trouble, his heart burned with anxiety. It was just that when Su Shintian ran to the pagoda prison, all he saw was a pile of wreckage and ruins. The entire pagoda had been completely destroyed. "Luluo, Su Shintian was on the verge of collapse. He shouted at the top of his lungs, and rushed straight to the top of the pagoda prison. The prison's enchantment had already been destroyed, and Su Liulua's figure had long since disappeared. Su Shintian searched everywhere, but, in all directions, other than the people of the martial imperial palace who were fighting with the immortals, there was no one else. It was chaos everywhere, and there were ruins everywhere. The former glory of the martial imperial palace no longer existed. If he was alive, he wanted to see him. If he was dead, he wanted to see his corpse. But now there wasn't even a corpse. What should he do? Su Shintian's heart was in a mess. Boom! At this moment, a loud sound that sounded like the collapse of the heavens came from the golden dragon. Su Shintian was startled. He looked over, and the scene that followed completely shocked him. A violent gust of wind blew, and the black clouds scattered. A tyrannical aura quietly spread throughout the entire world. In the distance, the incomparably huge golden dragon statue that the martial imperial palace was occupying suddenly moved. The cracks on its surface had completely disappeared, and its entire huge body looked completely new. At the same time, a large number of scales exploded out from the smooth and huge dragon's body, and the entire dragon had come to life. This golden dragon! It was not a statue. Su Shintian was shocked. Looking again, he realized that Shen Wu Huang was standing in front of the dragon head. He formed a fist with one hand, accumulated the profound qi, and struck the golden dragon's gigantic eyes. Is this the finishing touch? The golden dragon was resurrected, and its domineering aura rippled through the world. Roar! An angry roar resounded through the sky. No one knew that the martial imperial palace had such a terrifying existence. Shen Wu Huang leaped up, stepping on top of the dragon's head, grabbing onto the dragon's horn. He soared into the sky, like a war god of the 9 heavens. I, Shen Wu Huang, am not afraid of the heavens and earth, nor am I afraid of the immortals and gods. Today, since you all want to destroy my martial imperial palace, then, you all must be prepared to be killed by me at any time. Shen Wu Huang growled. The golden dragon flew straight towards an immortal. Before the immortal could even react, he was swallowed by the golden dragon's open mouth. After being swallowed, the immortal frantically used immortal techniques, wanting to pierce through the golden dragon's mouth. However, no matter what immortal technique he used, he was unable to break through. The golden dragon's body was so hard that it was unimaginable, even immortal techniques could not easily open it. A large amount of immortal qi leaked out from the golden dragon's mouth, and waves of golden lines leaked out from the cracks. No one knew what was happening in its mouth, but they could sense that the immortal qi inside was gradually weakening, and after about half an incense stick of time, there was no more immortal qi left, and no one could feel the aura of the person who was swallowed. He was probably dead? When the rest of the immortals saw this, their hearts skipped a beat, swallowing an immortal alive. Many people had never seen such a scene in their entire lives. In the 10,000 worlds of the heavens, only the martial imperial palace stood at the peak. This was definitely not something that people were boasting about. Shen Wu Huang dared to be angry at the immortals, and it was definitely not because he was impulsive, but because he truly had the means to do so. The next one is you. Shen Wu Huang growled. He controlled the golden dragon and rushed towards the immortal. The golden dragon was unstoppable, ignoring all attacks. Like a golden arrow that had been shot out, it charged forward. With this golden dragon, Shen Wu Huang already had the capital to contend against immortals. Chapter 897. After leaving the kingdom of Ziyu, Su Yun headed towards the west of the ultimate martial world alone, searching for the whereabouts of the Sword Ancestor's soul. Previously, the Sword Ancestor had warned him not to do this without sufficient strength, but now that Su Yun had obtained the inheritance of the great demons of the true devil sect, and possessed the protection of the devil veins, the devil eagle and the devil soul, his strength was no longer the same as before, and he believed that it was enough to deal with any situation. He had originally wanted to go to the Wanhua realm to ask the Sword Ancestor and take a look at the situation there. Unexpectedly, after entering the Wanhua realm, he also encountered the same treatment as when he first entered the true devil realm. Sealed realm, the Wanhua realm was also sealed. Su Yun felt that it was very strange. The true devil realm was sealed to contend against the immortal seeking sect. Why was the Wanhua realm sealed? These strange things seemed to indicate something? He felt like something was going to happen. After weighing it over and over again, Su Yun decided to head to the ultimate martial sacred plane and let the Master Subhoodie bring his students to hide for a while. Right now, many of the realms in the myriad heavens were doing some sort of measure, which was probably a sign that something big was about to happen. Su Yun's movements were very fast. The kingdom of Purple Moon and the immortal seeking sect could only wait. If Empress Dowager Lu did not betray him and did everything according to what he said, then the enmity between the Heaven-Knocking Pavilion and the Immortal Seeking sect would be formed. Su Yun did not know what kind of immortal sect the Heaven-Knocking Pavilion was, but it should not be any weaker than the Seeking Immortal sect, right? One had to know that the Immortal Seeking sect was just a half-immortal sect. Although it was a godlike existence in the myriad heavens realm, it should be considered to be weak in the immortal world. If the Heaven-Knocking Pavilion hated the Immortal Seeking sect because of this matter, then they only needed to add a little more fuel to the fire, and the Immortal Seeking sect would no longer be a threat to the true devil sect. Of course, there were always accidents. Once the instigation wasn't done well, it would backfire on itself. One day later, Su Yun arrived at the extreme west side of the ultimate martial world, the Chasing Moon domain. He did not even stop. He did not even go to Beiyang, much less visit Hu Qianmei and Huairomu. The current situation was not optimistic, and solving everything was the first choice. There would be plenty of time to meet in the future. The Chaser Moon domain was an undeveloped domain in the ultimate martial world, and was one of the few chaotic domains. There were all kinds of spirit cultivators in this domain. There were the lowest level spirit novice disciple, and also the strongest spirit master and sky spirit master. As for the spirit emperor, it was extremely rare for him to walk around in the ultimate martial world's territory. These existences were mostly from the great powers in the myriad heavens realm, and spirit sage like Su Yun was already a legendary figure. He leaped 1,000 miles and stepped into the moon-chasing domain. It was currently midnight and the world was dusky. Only a few cities within the domain still had light. Su Yun flew at a low altitude, casually found a town and landed. Back then, he had heard the Sword Ancestor talk about the rough location of the shattered soul and the method to find it. However, after searching the moon-chasing domain, he still had to find the specific location. The moon-chasing domain was not big. To the south was the soulless sea, and to the north was the giant valley, which was mysterious and unfathomable. It was said that there were ancient giants living in the valley, and all of them possessed divine strength and terrifying strength. They had copper skin and iron bones, like pillars of the heavens, and spirit cultivators would be swallowed alive if they met them, without any strength to fight back. The east and west sides were the main roads, so they shouldn't exist. Then, if he was not in the soulless sea, he must be in the giant valley. These two places were not small either, so Su Yun could only obtain some information from the spirit cultivator S, who had been entrenched in the moon-chasing domain for a long time. He roughly walked around and discovered that most of the spirit cultivator S would gather at a place called Fian Auction House, so he immediately approached. The auction house was located in the center of the town, and there were all sorts of shops around it. Some sold equipment, some sold medicinal pills, and there were even a large number of taverns and inns. Although this was only a small town, the surrounding cities were not as bustling and lively as this place. There was a sea of people here, and it was very noisy. Su-Yun landed in the city, and also headed towards the auction house. It was not a famous auction house, but it was an extremely convenient auction house. It was said that the owner of the auction house had communicated with the various famous auction houses, and the most basic thing to open an auction house was to have a legacy magic treasure that was specially used to circulate goods. This kind of legacy magic treasure was different from the usual legacy magic treasure. It was a magic treasure that was specially used to transfer items, and could only transfer small items. In the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, most of the pills and small treasures in the auction house were circulated through this, but Su-Yun was curious as to why there were so many spirit cultivator gathered here. However, after walking around the auction house, Su-Yun finally understood. This town was the closest supply ground to the Soulless Sea and the Giant Valley. Most of the spirit cultivator here were people who were heading to the Giant Valley to search for treasures. It was said that their companions had died in the Giant Valley. Of course, there were also many people who were missing arms and legs every day. Su-Yun did not care about the Giant Valley. He only cared about the location of the other soul of the sword ancestor. Su-Yun ran to the tavern beside the auction house and asked for a pot of wine. He started to drink and listen to the discussions of these people. Almost everyone in the tavern was talking about the Giant Valley, and Su-Yun felt that it was quite fresh. "Hey, brother, why did you ask me to come all the way to such a desolate place? Didn't you say you could get rich? What kind of wealth could there be here? Could it be that there are some gem mines or some rare medicinal herbs around here?" "Brother, even if there are gem mines and rare medicinal herbs, it's not your turn to take them. Those powerful spirit cultivators have already occupied them, so it's not our turn to take them. Then why the hell are we still getting rich? AI, who told you that you have to rely on these things to get rich? Then what? Shit. Poochie." Hearing that, Su-Yun couldn't help but spit out the wine in his mouth. "Shit? Are you King drunk? Who the hell is joking with you? If you want to get rich, you have to rely on shit. But it's not ordinary shit. Could it be that it's the shit of immortals and gods? You're King sick. You're the one who's sick. Can you listen to what I have to say?" Alright. Say it. I really want to know whose shit can make me rich. Heh, that's not ordinary shit. It's the shit of the ancient giants in the Giant Valley. Oh, the giants' shit. That's right. The world was big and full of strange things. Anything could happen in this world, anything could exist. The giant's poop was not ordinary poop. It was said that it had great medicinal value. Many strange pills were refined from it, and they were all extremely rare and expensive pills. The consumption of giant's poop was extremely high, and it had already reached a price of 1 million cultivation coins per gene. If we were to enter the valley and soak in it, it would be impossible for us to do so. Then we won't have to worry about food and clothing in the future. I'll go. But it is said that the giants in the Giant Valley only poop once a year. It's not a lot. We have to try our luck this time. I heard that the giants in the Giant Valley are all very strong and have terrifying strength. There are only 2 of us. Are we looking for shit or seeking death? Listen to me. Nothing will happen. If we're smart, we'll be looking for shit. If we're not smart, we'll be looking for death. But if this gets out, how can I survive in the future? You're just King, poor ghost. You can't even stand on your own 2 feet. Without money, you're nothing. Let me ask you, are you going or not? Alright. I'll go. The man drank a mouthful of wine. He felt that he could not digest what he had heard today. It was not only him. Even Su-Yun, who was at the next table, was petrified. He looked at the 2 of them in a daze. He thought that he had heard wrongly. Looking for shit. Was there such a strange thing in the world? There were all sorts of strange things in the world. But thinking about it, it was reasonable. Some people could even sell their own character for money. Compared to that, looking for shit was much more noble. Hey, don't look so dejected. Let me tell you. The giant valley does not only have the giant's shit. There are other things too. Huh. The man was excited. He asked, "What else?" He looked left and right. Then, he lowered his voice. "It is said that there is an incredible treasure." "Treasure?" the man exclaimed. "Keep your voice down, idiot." I'm sorry, brother, I'm sorry. What kind of treasure is it about? Whose treasure is it? What is it? Where is the treasure? The questions poured out like beans being sprinkled on the ground. How the f*ck would I know? I don't have that treasure. Didn't I come here? I was just about to look for it. Just the two of us. No. I even found some helpers. Most of the people here are here for the treasure. Who would like to look for the giant's shit every day? Furthermore, compared to the treasure, the shit is real shit. Oh. So that's how it is. Drink. When everyone is here, we will enter the valley. This time, follow Big Brother and work hard. I won't treat you unfairly. Thank you, Big Brother. Come, Big Brother, let me toast you. The two of them started to drink. Hearing that, Su-Yun retracted his gaze. Could the treasure of the giant valley be the location of the Sword Ancestor's soul? He remembered that when the Sword Ancestor's soul descended into the Wanhua realm, it caused a storm of sword chi, causing the Wanhua realm to be in chaos. Could it be that the Sword Ancestor's soul did not cause any commotion? Or could it be that he was also imprisoned? What kind of power did this Sword Ancestor's soul contain? Thinking about it, Su-Yun started to look forward to it. Right now, it was better to find out the exact location of the treasure. If it was the Sword Ancestor's soul, he would immediately take it away and head to the Wanhua realm to fuse the two souls together. This way, he would at least be able to give the Sword Ancestor the ability to protect himself. Chapter 898. The tavern's business was booming. Even though it was midnight, it was still packed with people, and there were no empty seats. At this moment, a series of sounds of armor colliding came from outside the tavern. Following that, a large number of people wearing armor and carrying long swords walked in. "Waiter, clear 10 tables for me. Also, bring out your best dishes and wine for me." The leader was a burly man who was shouting at the busy waiter. The burly man was wearing an extremely heavy armor. Other than his head, his entire body was wrapped tightly. Beside him was a young master in a yellow robe. The young master had a female cultivator in one hand and a sword in the other. His face was pale, his eyes were dim, and the aura around his body was extremely weak. He looked like a person who was already terminally ill. Su-Yun glanced at the young master and realized that the blood in his body was no longer flowing. His heart was also very weak. What was going on? If it was an ordinary person, they would have died long ago, right? Seeing so many people coming, the waiter immediately put down what he was doing and ran over. "Hey, my lords, I'm really sorry. As you can see, this shop is already full. There are really no extra tables. Why don't you wait a little longer? Maybe one of the customers will leave." "No extra tables?" The sickly young master moved his hand away from the female cultivator's perky buttocks. His gaze swept across the customers and said indifferently, "Tell them to scram." The waiter was stunned. "Yes, young master," the burly man replied and turned to walk towards the surrounding tables. Very quickly, the sound of chickens and dogs jumping could be heard. The spirit cultivators who were still drinking happily were all carried out by the burly man like chickens. There was almost no room for resistance. Those who were slightly stronger also consciously left. After all, there were too many people in this young master's group, and all of them were not weak either. There was no need to get angry with him over a table. Su Yun was startled. Looking at the chaotic tavern, he thought about whether he should continue drinking or avoid this troublesome matter. However, before he could make a decision, the burly man had already walked towards him. "Good brat, you actually occupied a table by yourself. Have you finished drinking? If you're done, hurry up and scram. Otherwise, you will have to suffer physical pain." The big-sized man walked over and shouted at Su Yun. "Hey, gentlemen, is there a need for this? Did he have to be so domineering just for a drink? I believe that all of you are usually up to no good, right?" At this moment, a contemptuous laughter came from the corner of the tavern. The sickly young man turned his head and saw 4 people sitting at the table. 3 men and a woman were drinking around the table. However, the one who spoke was the smallest of the 3 men. He was less than 1.6 meters tall and looked like a child. However, he was gulping down the wine, which was incompatible with his image. "Who are you?" The sickly young master hugged the female cultivator, walked to an empty table and sat down. There were already enough tables, and some of the spirit cultivators, who were afraid of trouble, had already taken the initiative to run out of the tavern. The originally bustling tavern had become deserted after being disturbed by these people. The innkeeper did not dare to neglect these grandpas. He immediately asked the waiter to serve wine and dishes. "I'm just a treasure hunter." The child raised his wineglass and said with a smile, "Treasure hunting?" The sickly young master sneered. "I thought you guys were here to look for shit." Hee, there aren't enough people to look for shit. The shit of a giant isn't small. No matter what, you have to find some big guys to move it. I see that these subordinates of yours are more suitable to do these things, hee. "Stinking brat, what did you say?" The burly man was instantly enraged. He slammed the table and stood up to roar. "Ayaya, I'm angry. I'm so scared." The child revealed a frightened expression. Seeing this, Su Yun could not help but laugh. This guy was quite similar to Octagon Aniseed. "Alright, little Moo, don't say any more. Don't cause any more trouble." At this time, a dark-skinned but handsome man beside him said in a low voice. The child called Little Moo chuckled and did not say another word. The sickly young master could not see through the cultivation of the 4 of them and knew that they were not simple people. Seeing that the other party had calmed down, he did not say anything else. The table was enough. If he continued to make trouble, it would probably be endless. Su Yun looked outside. It was not even dawn yet, so he continued to drink. He already had a plan in his mind. When dawn arrived, he would set off for the giant valley to investigate. I've seen that there seem to be a lot of people who have come to search for treasures this time. Furthermore, there are quite a few powerful fellows. Our situation is not looking good. Just then, Little Moo, who was drinking, suddenly lowered his voice, used the profound chi to wrap his voice, and sent it to his other 3 companions. This method of his was to prevent others from eavesdropping in the tavern, but to Su Yun, who already possessed the existence of the spirit sage, it did not matter. "That's right, when I first entered the city, I also noticed that there might even be spirit emperor in this city. If I'm not wrong, these people are most likely here for the treasure." A skinny man with half-opened eyes next to him also spoke. "Don't worry, everyone, no matter how strong those treasure hunters are, it will be useless. If they don't have the key, they won't be able to open the door, and will never be able to obtain the treasure." Chapter 899. It only took 6 hours to travel from the city to the giant valley. Everyone set off in the evening and arrived at the giant valley at midnight. As they approached the entrance of the valley, they could hear waves of deep and manic roars coming from within the valley. The earth trembled slightly, and the dull sound of footsteps could be heard in the valley. The air was filled with the stench of blood and rotting corpses. In the distance there was an extremely bright and clean giant skeleton. Su Yun roughly sized it up. The skeleton was 12 meters long, the bones were smooth and slender, and many places were broken. It seemed that the giant's body was not very hard when it was alive, and around the giant skeleton there were a large number of rotting spirit cultivator corpses, both men and women. They had long died, their souls were gone, and the people who came here were all here to treasure. Once someone died, they would definitely be robbed by the other spirit cultivator. The money of the dead was also money, wasn't it? The group of 4 arrived at the entrance of the valley, and without hesitation, they walked straight in. The walls on both sides of the valley entrance were extremely high and abnormally steep. There were many strange flowers and herbs growing in the valley, but they did not have any medicinal value, so no one cared about them. After taking a few steps, one could see huge footprints appearing. These were the footprints left behind by the giant. The feces diggers would follow these footprints to find the feces of the giant. Of course, Su Yun's group did not lack that bit of money. Ignoring the footprints, they headed straight into the depths of the valley. On the way, they could see a few smelly fellows rushing out of the valley. When the pedestrians saw this, they all dodged out of the way. Of course, compared to this, the more dangerous ones were naturally the giants that were attracted by the spirit cultivator. It was Su Yun's first time coming to the giant valley, and he had never seen a giant before. When he went deeper into the valley and saw the first living giant, he realized that the giant skeleton outside the valley was actually so weak. The giants in the valley were at least 20 meters tall. All of their bodies were extremely thick and huge, and their entire bodies were formed from the combination of flesh and stone. The places where muscles should have grown were now covered with hard stone. They had boundless strength and astonishing might. "Be careful! There's a giant!" The dark-skinned handsome young man in the group of 4 cried out in a low voice. The 4 of them anxiously dodged to the side. The spirit cultivator who had entered the giant valley to search for gold also sensed that something was amiss. They immediately stuck to the rock wall at the side, concealed their auras, and carefully hid their bodies. Dong! 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 The ground trembled rapidly, like a drum being continuously beaten. The smaller pebbles flew directly into the air, while the bigger ones seemed to be dancing up and down. Roar! The giant's deafening roar could be heard. Then, he saw several meteor-like blue figures streaking across the night sky, rushing toward him. 3 spirit cultivator. All of them looked terrified and panicked. They were in an extremely sorry state. One of them had both his legs broken, and fresh blood sprayed through the air. However, he still endured the intense pain and urged his profound energy to fly forward. "Be careful!" The group of 4 was startled and hurriedly dodged. Behind the 3 spirit cultivators was an incomparably huge giant. The giant let out an angry roar. Its entire body was wrapped in a terrifying aura, crazily chasing after the 3 of them. Its aura was abnormally heavy. Anything that approached it, whether it was a person or an object, would be crushed into pieces. Suddenly, the giant leaped up and instantly appeared in front of the 3 of them. It was like a small mountain falling from the sky. Boom! The entire ground immediately split open, and Su Yun felt as if the air was trembling. Huh! The 3 spirit cultivators were so scared that their faces turned pale, and their souls left their bodies. 2 of them turned around in time and scuttled under the giant's armpits. However, the person with both of his legs broken was too heavily injured. He was a step too late and was directly slapped by the giant's hand. He instantly fell to the ground and was already in a daze. "This is bad. This guy won't be able to escape." The group of 4 looked at him with a serious expression. "Don't eat me. Don't." The man with both legs broken came back to his senses, only to see that the giant had already covered him with its thick and huge hand. The pitch-black shadow not only enveloped his body, but also his heart. He cried out in fear. Looking at the falling hand, he seemed to have lost all will to fight and even forgot to escape. The giant easily caught him in his hand. Only now did the man regain his senses. He struggled crazily, but no matter how he struggled, he was unable to break free from the giant's control. The giant's strength was astonishing. It was as easy as flipping his hand. It was not something that the injured spirit cultivator could easily break free from. The giant grabbed the man, and without any hesitation, he extended his other hand, grabbed the man's upper body, and then forcefully pulled. The spirit cultivator was instantly dismembered and torn into two halves. Fresh blood spurted out like a broken fruit. Before his soul could even spill out, it was sent into the giant's mouth and chewed wantonly. He died a miserable death. As the giant chewed on the spirit cultivator's corpse, he turned around and continued to chase in the direction of the two spirit cultivators. Dong, dong, dong. The earth continued to tremble. Chapter 900. These fellows did things in an orderly manner. They immediately spread out and set up a barrier. Their movements were extremely fast and skillful, as if they had already arranged everything beforehand. The 10 spirit cultivators separated from the crowd and stood guard at the front and back. If anyone else approached, they would immediately notify them. These enchantments and formations were not activated and were hidden. If someone approached, they would not be able to detect them. They would also avoid them and let them pass, to prevent them from becoming suspicious when they saw so many people gathered here. I didn't expect these guys to also come for the treasure. The group of 4 hiding in the shadows were already sneering. The dark-skinned man leading the group snorted and said, "Looks like we have an opponent. Big brother, do we need to make a move now? If we let them set up the enchantment properly, I'm afraid it won't be easy to deal with them." The woman whispered, "Don't worry, they are just a bunch of mobs, we don't need to put them in our eyes. I have observed their cultivation. The strongest is only at the 5th stage of the Spirit Emperor. We can easily crush them, but I do not know if there are any other people here other than them, so everyone should be careful. Then shall we sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight? I have to see if there's another tiger coming. I hope it's fun." The 4 of them laughed in low voices. In their eyes, these fellows were just lambs that could be slaughtered at will. Su-Yun did not know how many people knew about this news, but from the looks of it, there should be quite a few people who knew about it. Just where did the 4 of them get their keys from? After going to the treasure trove, he would have to ask them about it. Time slowly passed, and the atmosphere in this place became subtle. The sickly young master looked around from time to time. He felt that he was being watched, but there was nothing around him. There was nothing at all. Whoosh! At this moment, a strange cold wind suddenly blew in from outside the valley. A large number of thick dark clouds suddenly appeared in the sky. These dark clouds floated at an extremely fast speed, instantly covering the reddish moon in the sky. The entire valley suddenly turned ice cold. The temperature plummeted. Everyone felt this change, and their expressions all changed. "Young master, the crimson moon is shining on the mountain," one of them cried out anxiously. "Very good." The sickly young master let go of the female cultivator and waved his hand. "The crimson moon illuminating mountain is about to appear. Immediately activate the barrier and seal this place. When the door to the treasure appears, attack the door with all your might and break it. Do you understand?" "Yes," the people shouted. Voila! The barrier was activated, and the array formation was activated. Only Idealism's face was filled with anger. "Young Master Idealism, don't say that I don't give your father face. Even if your father comes today, I am not afraid. Since your father and I have known each other for a while, you should leave first." Otherwise, when we fight later, swords have no eyes. It's not good to hurt you, and it's not good to hurt the relationship between this poor Taoist and your father. Taoist Swasi said impolitely. Hearing that, Idealism's face turned red with anger. According to Taoist Swasi, he should be acquainted with young Master Idealism's father. However, he was willing to fall out with him for the treasure. It was enough to show that the treasure was extraordinary. Big brother, do we have a good chance of winning against Swasi? The female cultivator in the group of 4 could not help but ask. Good? Not really. Perhaps we can fight to a draw. Among the 3 of them, Swasi is a little tricky, but the problem is that even if we defeat him, what can we do? If both sides are injured, I'm afraid we won't have the strength to get the treasure, the dark-skinned man said in a low voice. The 4 of them fell silent. Mr. Idealism gritted his teeth. He did not know whether he should stay or leave. With Taoist Swasi's means, it was impossible for him to fight against him. Since Taoist Swasi had already said so much, he could not stay. Whoosh! At that moment, a strong wind blew again. The thick clouds that shrouded the high moon immediately dispersed. The blood-red moonlight fell from the sky like a thin veil, enveloping the earth. Everyone looked up. At that moment, the moon in the sky had turned blood-red. The moonlight shone on the valley, completely covering the mountain walls on both sides. The entire mountain top seemed to be covered in blood. A circular red light fell from the sky and hit the broken square stone platform in the middle. In an instant, the stone platform shone brightly, and a blood-red curtain was formed. The curtain was like a thin veil that swayed gently, but it did not take long for it to stabilize and turn into the shape of a door. Such a change attracted everyone's attention. This is the door to the treasure trove. Taoist Swasi's gaze seemed to be attracted by a magnet. He stared at the veil-like door and could not move his eyes away. The group of 4 and Idealism were the same. They stared blankly for a while before coming back to their senses. Attack the door. Quick, break the door. Taoist Swasi came back to his senses and immediately shouted at the 2 people behind him. The 2 of them did not dare to hesitate. They charged straight at the door and slapped it with their palms. All kinds of terrifying mystical techniques were crazily smashed at the veil-like door. Boom! 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 A violent explosion sounded on the door. The sound spread far and wide, causing the earth and mountain ranges to tremble. The spirit cultivators in the distance all retreated from the valley, thinking that something strange had happened in the valley. However, the 2 spirit cultivators that Taoist Swasi brought continuously attacked for more than 30 breaths of time, but they still did not manage to blast the door open. In fact, they did not even leave a single mark on it. Taoist Swasi frowned and stared at the door. He took a deep breath and suddenly moved his finger. A snow-white light burst out from his fingertip and struck the door. Poodoo! The light smashed into the door, but it was like a stone sinking into the ocean. There were no ripples. The hardness of this door is beyond everyone's imagination. It won't be that easy to break it open. Idealism, who was at the side, laughed. This scene did not exceed his expectations. Swasi looked at him and said solemnly, "Nephew, do you have any ideas?" Are you calling me nephew now?" Idealism sneered. "There is a way, but I have no fate with this treasure, so I won't say it." "You won't say it?" Taoist Swasi, take your time to get the treasure. We won't accompany you anymore. Let's go. Idealism cupped his fists and planned to lead his men away. However, as soon as they moved, the 2 people on the other side instantly appeared in front of Idealism, blocking his path. "Go," Swasi said calmly. "If you don't hand over the method to open the treasure door, do you think you can go anywhere? You want to kill me? Humans die for wealth, birds die for food. If it's for treasures, it's nothing to die for. Then go ahead and kill me. At most, no one will take the treasure," Idealism said indifferently. "You Then what do you want? Give me half of the treasure. Half. Taoist's Wasi's eyes were filled with killing intent. What right do you have to bargain with me? It's fine if you don't agree. Do it, I won't resist. I agree. Taoist's Wasi shouted helplessly. If you help me open the treasure door, I'll give you half of the treasure. Hee, isn't that right? Idealism smiled, feeling that he had achieved his goal. He waved his hand, and the spirit cultivators immediately dispersed. They surrounded the light muslin door and began to cast spells with their eyes closed. Idealism took out a round ball from somewhere, closed his eyes, and chanted an incantation. From the looks of it, he had come prepared. Taoist's Wasi watched patiently from the side. He did not say anything, but his eyes flickered frequently. No one knew what he was thinking. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.